Right now it's 48, cloudy, a little misty, a little foggy at AM 1150, 101.7 FM, WDEL.
Again, 5, 4, 3.
I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay. Well, no.
We'll do it live.
Yeah, we'll do it live. Hey, it's the Rick Jensen Show. And we're doing it live. How you doing, Charlie?
I'm doing well, Randy. Thanks for having me back.
Thanks for coming on. Oh, by the way, it's Randy.
Yeah, Randy Dasher. In for Rick Jensen.
Yes.
Noon to 4. And Randy?
Yes, sir.
It's Corzine.
Ah, yes. I was calling him Corzine. It's Corzine. Yes, if you'd like to join in today on the fun, 302 529-1017, 302-529-1017. Yes, Randy Dasher filling in for Rick Jensen. Rick will be back on Monday, joined in studio by Charlie Silvestri. And lots of stuff today in the news. But we're doing it live.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Did a lot of last minute prep. You know,
good.
Just make sure I came in and was ready for you.
Awesome.
And I think that may, depending on reactions out there, may be out the window. I don't know.
You mean because of World War III? No, it's not.
Well,
I don't want to get people in pandemonium, but we are working on a war with Iran. I guess. I mean,
world domination. I'll leave that to the religious nuts and the Republicans, thank you.
Oh, there you go, Charlie.
Why did they give him a soundboard?
No, it is. You're right. It's. I can't believe we're. Well, I can believe it, and this is everything that everyone that I respect has been warning about. I really, when I saw the debates between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, I didn't vote for anybody, and tell everybody for the 18 millionth time, like anyone cares. But I didn't vote for either of them. I didn't vote that time. I voted for Rand Paul in the primary, and then when Rand didn't get the nomination, I just stayed home and avoided getting jury duty, which I don't want. And then when I'm watching Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, Clinton came off as like the hawk to me. And I think she almost had like something to prove because she's a woman. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I don't mean that in a general way, like all women would need to be. I think just she felt like she had to prove herself as a woman. I don't like Hillary Clinton at all, like in the least. But, I have friends that are big Trump guys. I have friends that are big bleeding heart liberal Democrats. I mean, one's standing across from me.
That's not necessarily true.
I'm kidding.
I pick and choose. It's only until this last election cycle that I've ever voted a straight ticket. I never voted a straight ticket before.
Oh, well.
But it just seems once a certain type of person gets elected, no matter what's right or wrong, they seem to fall in line and march in lockstep. Like, as an example, you would think if you would have heard Lindsey Graham, for example, talk about Donald Trump, how he felt about Donald Trump in 2016. Well, Donald Trump's a dangerous man. He's this, that, or the other. He's the worst kind of man. He shouldn't be in charge. The first thing that Donald Trump asked about was, where's the nuclear football? And all Donald Trump would do back then would be insult people like Lindsey Graham, who dared question him or, maybe critique him.
He's a third-rate senator.
Every one of those guys that has been insulted by Donald Trump personally, professionally, are falling in lockstep behind him. I wouldn't want to be party of that to that any longer. It's like, no, every time. I don't care if I agree with you. If you have an R in your name, you're eventually going to be representing something that I hate. That's just the way it seems to me.
I'm not sure what Rand Paul's most recent comments are on this. I guess I could have Googled that instead of
just guess.
Hanging out in the back room.
Just guess.
But I'd like to hope he's very much against this, this attack on Iran. It's one of these things where they didn't get congressional approval, which is something he's been outspoken about, that all these wars should have gotten approval from Congress before I guess somebody changed that, and obviously it wasn't Trump. Was it Bush that changed it after 9/11 that just went, oh, yeah, I can, because of the Patriot Act. I don't know. Presidents can do whatever they want, like the
with war powers and whatnot. Yeah. I'm not exactly sure, but yes, I think it changed big time, or at least in practice it changed. I don't know if the law changed. Did the law change, or just in practice?
Maybe they snuck that in the Patriot Act, where President go, oh, I need to do this right now. We don't have time for a vote. I don't know. I love not to know stuff.
Me too. I do it so well. It comes almost naturally.
It's like the Chris Rock bit. Love not to know stuff. What's the capital? I don't know. But it's just despicable. And I'm no stock analyst. I know that the Dow's been up a million times. It went down. This isn't unusual, but I could see this like crashing the stock market and everything else. I mean, it just to start a war. If Iran does something like somehow gets a nuclear bomb into a major city, it's going to just be ridiculous. I mean, this, and people like to say this all started because they took our hostages. Out of the blue, they just took our hostages. And we were so nice to them before that. And, well, unless somebody can find something that I'm going to tell you about, unless you already know about this, in 1953, the United States, along with England, through aggression, through force, removed Iran's leader, Mossadegh. He was an elected official. I think they even called him a president, or if he's not, whatever. He's the leader of their land. Mossadegh was. He wanted to nationalize Iran's oil. That upset the oil companies, and we went and removed him. And in my eyes, I look at that as if China one day just came in and took out JFK and put in a guy they like, and we just went, okay, thanks for removing our beloved president and putting in this guy we hate. So, I think that's why at some point, many, many years later, they took our hostages. And, and when I grew up, I remember growing up, and my friend Dave had this, we were young, and he had a picture of Mickey Mouse with the, flipping the bird, and it said, "Hey, Iran." And, that's when we were kids.
Right.
And that was common for children to have this image of someone giving, the finger. So, years later, I remember watching an Aerosmith video on MTV, and the girl in the video, she's some actress, blonde hair.
Alicia Silverstone?
Yes. Look at you. Check out the big brain on Brad.
I know lots of really useful stuff like that.
Well played, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, she jumps off of a bridge with a bungee cord, and then she looks up at the guy who's all like nervous that she jumped off without, any kind of bungee cord, and she's giving him the bird, but they pixelate it because it's on cable TV where you're allowed to do anything you want. But that's so offensive. But Mickey Mouse doing it, as long as you're saying, flip the bird to Iran, it was okay for children to have. But as an adult, I couldn't see Alicia Silverstone do that in a rock video, which is ridiculous. So we just have this, I don't know. Our government tries to make it sound like we've never done anything wrong. And I'm not anti-American. I love this country more than any other country on the planet, in the universe. But I hate some of our government officials. Whoever took out Mossadegh, I hate why they did that. I hate them for doing that. And, we can't just always pretend that we've never done anything. And, after 9/11, you had, Bush say, they attack us for our freedoms. they're jealous of our freedoms, you know, and people would start thinking, yeah, they attack us because we let our women vote.
I heard a lot of that back then, because that became the line. That became the truth.
They hate us for our freedom.
That became the truth.
They hate us because they have Hooters. I mean, the restaurant with the good chicken wings. That's why they hate us, you know, and people are delusional, and I can see the delusion. I was delusional for the longest time. I didn't know about Mosaday back at 9/11. I didn't know anything. I mean, I was working installing countertops 12 hours a day. I got home, cracked open a beer, lit up a Marlboro Light, put on the idiot box with Fox News, and watched that horse stuff, and just sat there and went, you go get them saying people. And it wasn't until I got my first job in radio at 2003, when the station owner was kind enough to say, if you want to go on the internet, go ahead. And I was like, I don't want to break your computer. I don't know the first thing. And he just kind of pointed and went, there it is. Click on that and surf. And then I discovered pornography. No.
So the story has a happy ending.
It has a happy end. No, and then I got an email address, and you get better and better at it the more you mess around with it. But it was years after that till I ever got a connection at my home. I think 2009, maybe 2008, I finally got a home internet connection. So I wasn't up on all this stuff. Quite frankly, it was due to a lot of the learning was due to listeners sending me emails, different points of view than what was being spoon-fed to me on television. So, I discovered who Ron Paul was. And that was because Janet Jackson had her wardrobe malfunction. He was the only one that didn't vote, the only Republican that voted no on increasing the punishment to broadcasters for, nudity and indecency and all that stuff. And then I really got wrapped up in him and learned about a lot of stuff. And don't just watch one news channel.
But definitely call one radio station.
Absolutely. Well played.
And you should dial 302-529-1017 to get through to us.
Absolutely.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah, I'd love to hear other people's...
About Janet Jackson's wardrobe malfunction, Ron Paul.
It's funny, I just watched that.
World War III.
Like the last week, I watched the wardrobe malfunction on YouTube.
Oh,
and,
for the 500th time.
Yeah. It was so... I mean, I saw it. Believe it or not, I mean, I've never watched a football game in my life. I've played in marching band where there's been football games in front of me, but, I was trying to hook up with, any female that would, give me the time of day. When I was in the marching band, that's what I was doing. And, partying with the guys and whatnot, and playing drums, snare drum in the marching band. And we were sitting in the bleachers, and during the game, you play these pep rally songs and so forth. So there would be football games going in front of me. But I've never, ever in my life went, oh, good, the game's on, and sat down and turned it on and watched it. And I've ran the board here for a million, well, not a million, probably, hundreds of Eagles games here at this radio station. And I turn it on just so I know, what quarter it is, just to run the right commercials and stuff. It's on, the TV's on, but I'm listening to Merle Reese do it and playing our commercials here.
It's gold!
Yeah. People come in too, I've been here, and they'll be like, what's the score? And I look at them like this confused look. I'm like, I don't know. I know that car dealership ad's playing next.
That's probably the more important thing when you're in this room.
So, anyway, yeah, if you guys want to join in, we'd love to hear from you. 302-529-1017, 302-529-1017. What was my point? Where was I going with the football
I don't think you had a point, really.
Did I?
No.
Nah, there was
just
something.
Sort of trailing.
There was a reason I brought up the football.
It was Janet Jackson.
Janet, thank you. Yeah, that's why Charlie said So I actually was watching the halftime game because the halftime show, because all you hear about is, it's usually exciting, even though it's, I'm not a Janet Jackson fan by any stretch.
Well, you watch for the commercials and all that stuff.
Yeah. So I was watching before, like the Puppy Bowl, and then during the halftime show, I flipped over to that channel because I had cable back then, and I'm watching, and and I see Janet Jackson, and then I see, I just kind of went, did I just see her ba-ba-ba? And, because you have to call it ba-ba-ba on the radio. And I was like, that was an unusual split second, you know, and then
something you weren't expecting.
Yeah.
You weren't expecting at all.
Yeah. But it was less than a second. So I looked it up the other day on YouTube and watched it again just to make sure
that you saw it correctly back then.
I wanted to make sure. I thought maybe she had a pasty on, but I think it was the actual.
Yeah, well, yes, it was the actual ba-ba-ba. But, you know, she was supposed to have a pasty on. But, you know, everybody, the more people talk about this, it was an accident, the more I believe, that was planned totally, you know.
Yeah.
Before, you know, the more they talk about it, the less inclined I'm to believe it's an accident.
Yeah. Hey, we got a call, but, you know, I got to do a break, so I'll do the break and then I'll go to the call.
Hang on. More with Rick Jensen is just ahead on AM 1150 and 101.7 FM WDEL. The Rick Jensen Show on AM 1150 and 101.7 FM WDEL.
What's up? This is Bam Margera. Randy Dasher live. Call in, you little jerks.
Yes, the Rick Jensen Show continues. Randy Dasher filling in today, joined by Charlie Silvestri.
Yo.
And let's go out to Joe in Newark. And we crank that up. Gentlemen may proceed. All right. Hey, Joe in Newark. How are you, sir?
What's up, Randy? I have a couple brief personal experiences to relate with regard to Iran. To set the stage, 1966. I'm a freshman at UAD. And I meet this guy through playing table tennis, and we end up gambling at bridge quite a bit over the next few years. And he was an exchange student from Iran. His name was Tarush Sami'i.
Okay.
And he was very intelligent. He was a physics major. He was his parents were I won't say friends, but were acquainted with the Shah. And at that time, his politics were Russia was the enemy, USA was the friend. Thanks for keeping us out of the Soviet Union. Fast forward 4 years, good friends of mine, Andy and Wendy, I won't say the last name, I was best man at their wedding, and Andy got a gig in Isfahan, Iran, teaching English to the Iranian pilots so that they could read the instruction manuals for the jets that we had given them. So this is about 1971 or about 70 or 71.
Okay.
And it was they were over there a good 3 or 4 years. I think 79 was when the Shah was overthrown, as I recall.
Yeah. Hey, Joe, can you hold on? I'll just pan you down. I'll bring you right back after the spots. Is that cool? I got to go to break.
Okay, I can finish up real quick. Okay.
Okay.
He said that all the Iranians he talked to at that time considered the USA a friend.
Okay.
Okay, I'll keep listening.
Excellent. Call back if you'd like, sir. Thank you so much. Take care.
Right.
Bye-bye. All right, there he goes.
The Rick Jensen Show on AM 1150 and 101.7 FM WDEL.
Yes, the Rick Jensen Show continues. Randy Dasher filling in today for Rick. Charlie Silvestri joining me.
Hey.
Hey, mister. Hey, if you'd like to join in, 302-529-1017. 302-529-1017. Like the frequency.
What was that number?
It's 302-529-1017.
Hey,
that's the same as the frequency.
That's an amazing coincidence.
That is.
They must have loved right into that.
Yeah.
Hey, I went for a job recently. I changed my whole life. My whole life. I turned on a dime.
Yeah.
And I went from basically working for myself to trying to find a job recently. First, I don't know how many people have done this lately. I'm sure there's a lot more than I realized goes into it. The one thing that doesn't go into it is meeting somebody face to face. Like, say, hello, hey, hi, I'd love to work for your company. Here's my resume. I even have a cover letter. If you don't have time for me today, please read through it and give me a call if it interests you. If this, if you see something in me based on this, give me a call.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't happen.
Well, you do it online.
You got to do everything online. You've got to do everything online. You don't talk to a person at all. There is zero talking. It's all
really?
Yeah. It's all applications online, this side or the other. It almost doesn't matter what company, how big the company is, whatever. So I went. So I've done that a couple times, and I realize I'm changing the subject radically.
That's all right.
But you also. I wasn't expecting this. I must be so naive that it's ridiculous. But there are drug testing for every position, regardless of what position you're going for. Drug tests. And so I don't have anything to worry about it. But it surprised me that, really? I'm going for this job and you're testing me for drugs? Really? Okay, so I read this thing in the paper, and it's about U-Haul.
Yeah.
U-Haul is now testing people who apply for their jobs for nicotine.
I saw that headline. Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. It's like, well, you know what? If you can't obviously be drinking naturally, but you can't smoke marijuana, whatever you want to call it, weed.
Yeah.
If it's in your system, you'll get flagged immediately, no matter how little. They may say, well, a certain level. No, you'll get flagged immediately if you have weed in there.
Wow.
So, and then they test for, more potent drugs, let's say. Now,
ironically, the more potent drugs leave your system faster than marijuana stays. I've heard 30 days, and coke can be like less than a week.
I've heard marijuana.
I'd much rather have a pothead working for me than a cokehead.
Well, so they're so mellow.
Yeah.
But it's So I read this thing, and the company, U-Haul, is testing people for nicotine, and they list all the states, and it's, a ridiculously long list, and Pennsylvania is one of them.
Wow.
Delaware is one of them. And it's like, what is going on? Why is everybody being my parent now when it comes to this? I don't smoke. I never smoked.
Never tried it, huh? Never did cigarettes?
When I was a kid, I would do chewing tobacco. Oh. And so playing baseball, I'd have, it's so cool, everybody else is doing it. But no, I've never smoked.
Okay, good for you.
But, I can imagine the person who is on a pack-a-day habit or, even 2-pack-a-day habit.
Oh, yeah.
I've known many of them.
And
they'd go in.
One. Yeah.
Well, they'd go in and fail this test.
Yeah.
And, it's like, well, why don't you just say to your potential hires, well, you can smoke. We don't care if you smoke or not. Just don't do it in our trucks or do it in our warehouse or don't do it, don't do it here. But, knock yourself off, out at home.
Here's the only thing I can think. Is it they don't want to pay more for the health insurance, or is health insurance not even a factor? I mean, if it's a part-time guy, you don't have to give him health insurance. I don't know that you have to give full-time guys health insurance. I'm not sure how that works.
You know what? It just says this new I wouldn't want to call it law since I'm not sure, policy, is going to allow an employer to decline to hire someone based on their nicotine use. And, everybody and their brother out there, if they don't smoke, well, they have a friend who does or a relative who does. And it's like, well, who are you staffing your company with now already?
Yeah.
How many people in your company are going to pass this test? I hate to be the guy who's worked for U-Haul for 25 years and then all of a sudden, hey, your levels are unacceptable. You're out of here.
That's ridiculous. I think they're missing out on good people. I know somebody that smokes weed every day and is the hardest working person I know and the most talented person I know. So I'm really narrowing it down.
Thanks, Randy.
I know a lot of people who are very, very talented and smoke a lot of weed. No, but so it's you're missing out on good talent, possibly. Just look, hire somebody, and if they're no good, fire them.
Right.
Regardless of what they're doing,
This is the last thing that you need to be worried about. okay, you want to worry about drugs of whatever magnitude. I mean, even weed. If you want to worry about alcohol, yeah, all right, I can get that. If you're driving, if you're hiring somebody to drive your truck, okay, fine. But nicotine, that, it's really getting to the point where, well, if you do anything to relax, you're not allowed to have a job.
Yeah.
I don't, that's the part I don't get. How far into my house do you have to come to parent me to make sure that I'm going to be able to work my job?
Yeah, that's messed up. I don't get it. Again, if it's a health insurance thing, and if the company has to,
it may be, but it doesn't say
mandatory. I don't know if the law is, and maybe it varies state by state. If someone's getting 40 hours, you have to give them or offer them health insurance. I'm not sure. Maybe it's that, but it could be like you're saying. They don't want the trucks to smell like nicotine. They don't want somebody every hour going outside and wasting 5 minutes.
True, because I've worked, in a place where that happens. Yes.
I worked in a body shop, and everybody smoked cigarettes. Not everybody, but a majority of them smoked cigarettes. I mean, we would smoke right in the body shop until a new owner took it over and wouldn't let us anymore. And even that was like a month of resistance. Like, I'm serious, go outside, and right near the lacquer thinner and all.
Yeah, it's very, very,
very smart. That was a long time ago.
Well, I saw that headline. And I had to bring it in today because I can't understand the thinking unless it's as you say, maybe it has something to do with health insurance, but it doesn't say that. It just says policy. So that can cover anything. It can cover whatever the company says whatever. But you're going to cut your nose off to spite your face, like they say. Yeah. When you have really good employees failing your nicotine tests.
Yeah, absolutely, mister.
Yeah.
All right, fantastic then.
That was just a little thing.
Oh, that's quite all right.
If somebody doesn't want to talk about the war, I can understand that.
No, it's a 4-hour show, and actually we're 43 minutes into it, so it's a 3 hours and 15 minutes left show. So, you're welcome to call in with anything, and it is better to throw a couple topics out there, put the nets out, if as they say, when they go fishing.
Yes.
Is that what they do?
Yes.
They throw nets out?
They really don't, but big boats they do.
Okay. Let's go to Uber Mike. Sorry to interrupt you. And yes, we will go to Mr. Uber Mike. Uber Mike, welcome to the show.
Randy, Charlie, what's up?
Hey, Uber Mike.
Hey, guys. Now, assuming because you're talking about this U-Haul thing, you didn't catch the full backstory?
You're right. I saw the headline, and it was screaming to me when I saw it, so I figured I'd bring it in. And I was relying on the audience to carry us over the goal line.
All right. What their board of directors said is due to insurance premiums and deductibles that they did not want anybody smoking tobacco because it would allow the premiums and deductibles to stay at a reasonable rate across the board for all their employees. They're worried that smoking individuals will cause the premiums and deductibles to go up, causing the employees to have to pay more. So they're taking this anti-tobacco, anti-nicotine stance. Yeah, maybe a little too far. And yeah, if I've been working there 25 years and they turned around and said, you smoke tobacco, we're going to have to give you a pink slip, I'd be a little pissed.
Well, I just learned that my dad had lung cancer, and he didn't smoke. And some people are just predisposed to that. They're predisposed, so nicotine had nothing to do.
What did your dad do?
Well, see, there's the rub. He did work around, chemicals, this, that, or the other, but it's not that everybody who smokes is going to get a certain disease for a certain reason. But yes, you raise a fair point.
If he was in industrial work, he may have been exposed to bad chemicals, lead, asbestos, things like that unfortunately in today's world, protections and environmental policies are in place. Back in the 50s and 60s, we didn't care. We just went to work.
Right. And that's basically what he did. And my uncle would always question him, what are you doing? Why are you going working with that stuff? And, Dad's response was, you go to work. that's what you do.
Yeah, if you've been watching the news in the past day or two about the two Philly schools that got closed and the parents that are squawking up a storm about their kids being exposed to asbestos. Well, think about it. These schools have been around for how many years?
Yeah, long time.
So all these employees that have ever worked there, they've been exposed to it too. Is the Philadelphia School District going to go ahead and take care of the kids and or the employees that come down with lung cancer due to the fact that the asbestos was never abated out of the buildings? That's part of the problem with the Philadelphia School District. Sorry for throwing that in there.
That's okay, Uber Mike. You have the floor. You can rant as long as you like. We appreciate it.
And again, Randy, thank you very much for the time and the airtime yesterday with you and Mr. Furman. I appreciated that.
Hey, no problem. No problem at all. Jeff was great. You were great. It was great. I got to relax for a few moments and listen to you guys make sense. It was awesome.
Wait a minute. The show made sense yesterday?
For the first time.
And I had to work through it.
I loved the line that Randy turned around when Jeff said that I don't want legalization, and Randy's exact words were, "You got 3.5 hours for me to convince you?"
No, I'm all for legalization. My whole remaining family is all for legalization. Yes.
I want legalized, taxed, and regulated just like alcohol and tobacco. I know for a fact that a multitude of people statewide would be able to get work. Or if not get work, get the benefit of the plant because their doctors aren't thinking outside the box.
True enough, although I think some of them are coming around. I mean, I know personally people who have use marijuana for medical use, which is not all that outrageous any longer. And I think coming up in this election in New Jersey, we're going for the, I say we as if, hey, I'm going to lead the charge. New Jersey is going for recreational use as well.
Nice.
Yeah, Murphy's on board with it.
Yes, yeah, and it's about time, and like I say, yeah, regulate it and tax it, why not? If we're going to get taxed for everything else, why not this? And
so Charlie, you're implying you didn't catch the show yesterday?
I could not catch the show yesterday. I was at work yesterday.
I'm going to leave a card on the table for you so you understand where I stand.
Oh, I think I know where you stand.
Since they allowed medicinal cannabis, I got off of 8 opiate-based medications.
That's great. That is totally great.
So that's one of the reasons. And my doctor thinks outside the box, but unfortunately there are a plethora of doctors out there inside the Delaware medical system that aren't thinking like that. They either got Carol Rattay in their ear and she's just jabbering to hear herself jabber because of who she gets paid by, or the fact that they still got the 1941 propaganda stamped on their brain.
Right. No, I'm a big believer in it. I've seen the benefits of it for a couple of loved ones and friends. So, I'm on board for the medicinal and I'm on board for recreational. Hey, look, nobody needs to go to jail for that. We're just clogging the system with that nonsense.
No, that's honestly, with legalization, I want to open an edibles manufacturing plant. I want to put 10 to 15% of the people that have been incarcerated because of this to work. I want to put 10 to 15% of the veterans that can't get back to work because of medications. I want to give them an opportunity.
That Minnesota, Illinois, where it just became legal. I don't have the article open, but from memory, I think they did
over $3 million, over $515,000 to the state.
Yes,
in one day.
Yeah, 3.5, I think it was $3.5 million in the first day. So people like to get high.
They're trying to escape, and I mean, some of them are trying to escape. Some of them are avoiding pain, and with that comes maybe a more peaceable world. Who knows?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now I just need to send a bunch of plants over to the Middle East.
There you go. Well said, sir.
Thanks, Uber Mike.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Thank you, Uber Mike. Take care. Bye-bye. All right, there he goes.
More Rick Jensen next on AM 1150 and 101.7 FM WDEL.
Delaware's Morning
Jensen
News
Show on AM 1150 and 101.7 FM WDEL.
Thank God Greg Lance was here.
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah, Greg saved the day. I touched a button on the side of the computer. I just leaned my hand there. and the whole computer went blank. I guess I turned the screen off. I don't know. And it's the main computer.
Sheer pandemonium.
I'm like, oh my God, where did... I don't want to just start pressing buttons because there's like 6 of them here. Now I know not to come anywhere near the side of that thing. Wow.
You need the thing longer.
Yeah. Remove those buttons. Wow. That's crazy. I've never had that happen. I've been working here since 2011 as a board operator on the weekends for sporting events. And I've never bumped into that button. But
well, hey, every day a new thing.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah. Okay.
You know, you asked me earlier if I'd ever smoked, and I've never smoked cigarettes, and I never really liked smoking anything. And nowadays, there are so many varieties of ways to get marijuana into your system, and edibles in the form of edibles.
Yeah,
and that makes the experience worthwhile, especially if you need it for medicinal purposes and you can't smoke. So it's like that really is a blessing for a lot of people out there.
I know somebody who was starting to get throat issues, and I remember telling him earlier, in life that who turned those buttons on? There we go. I remember telling him that when I was younger, I smoked cigarettes, and at one point in my life, I started getting chest pains.
Oh no!
And I thought, well, I had $12,000 deductible on my insurance. I thought I can either go out and get $10,000 worth of tests, or I could go ask like a homeless guy on the corner, or I could ask a 6-year-old child.
Yeah.
And I bet you all 3 of them would say, you should quit smoking.
Probably, yes.
So I quit smoking, and the chest pains went away. So this person who was having throat pain from smoking marijuana stopped smoking it and does edibles, and the throat pain went away. So, another friend who recently passed away, I didn't know him that well, but he's an acquaintance. I remember he told my other friend, coworker with him, he said, listen to your body when things are going wrong. So,
for sure.
So there you go.
Yeah. No, hey, that is the way to take care of it. Especially now. It's one of those weird things. Like, as you know, briefly before we go to the break, I lived in Amsterdam for a few years. Mm-hmm. And that is where I was introduced to edibles, because the big thing is, the big thing was tourists and tourism for marijuana over in Amsterdam. And I don't smoke. So I was introduced to edibles.
Oh, nice.
Over there.
Okay.
And it's a good thing.
Nice. Awesome. We're not recommending them.
We're not saying you go out and just get pound cake and stuff it full of whatever.
No, we're not telling anyone to use anything. Charlie's sharing an experience. I'm sharing experience. People need to make up their own minds what they want to do. Yes, not encouraging anyone in any way, shape, or form.
But it's good for you.
And I'm going to tell you, definitely do not ever smoke cigarettes if you've never tried them. You're not missing anything except losing $8 a day. It's the Rick Jensen Show. Randy Dasher filling in, joined here by Charlie Silvestri. We'll be back with more of it right after this.
WDEL Wilmington, WDEL FM Canton, WSTW HD2 Wilmington.
WDEL, Delaware's News Radio.
Cloudy skies, AM 1150, 1017 FM, WDEL.
Ladies and gentlemen, now the moment you've all been waiting for.
You're listening to The Lunch Hour, serving up food for the mind. Today's entree is politics. What's on your mind today? The governor's budget? Stem cell research? Give us a hot spoonful of your opinion. Okay, we have a question from Quahog. Caller, you're on The Lunch Hour. Can I take your order?
Yes, I have a big helping of a pretentious crap.
Oh, sometimes the crazy ones get through.
Oh, a microphone.
A phony is a mic.
Randy, 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 Randy.
We love you, Randy.
Make love to me, Randy.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Yeah, we're broadcasting over here. It's the Rick Jensen Show. Randy Dasher filling in for Rick, joined in studio by Charlie Silvestri.
Hello.
That's a good squiggy. Dead on. I love it.
Years of practice.
That's good.
Years of having lots of time on my hands.
I remember when we did a radio show at another station together, and you did an impression. I believe it was Dr. Phil, probably.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, that's something no one can ever take from you.
Yes, you did. You told me that.
Because, somebody could come up with a really good song as bumper music, and another show could go, hey, that is good. I'll just take it. And somebody could have a good sound drop from a TV show or movie or something like that, and somebody could go, that's clever. I'll take it. And you could, tell a joke, and somebody could just take it. But not everybody can do impersonations.
It's funny. I've been off the radio for so long, I haven't kept up and practiced, because you need to practice. If you don't, it goes away.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, a lot of the voices, if one or two may go out over the air today, it's just because I do it at home and annoy my wife with them.
Now the ones that I do are so old that they're irrelevant.
You mean like Squiggy? Now he's totally relevant.
Well, the brand new Squiggy show. All right. Well, there's some new rules in effect here for 2020.
New rules.
Yes. Okay. Non-medical marijuana use is now legalized in Illinois.
I have that story too.
Yes. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. Not we, as in you and I, but Jeff and I. Jeff, I was surprised, was not for legalization, but then Uber Mike called and gave him a lot of reasons to be for it. And Jeff says, you know what, I'm gonna, he was writing them down, and I truly believe he will go home and research that, and he might change his opinion, or at least, he's open-minded to it, which I really like about Jeff. Very smart gentleman, too. Okay, in Oregon. Oh, before I go too far, Joe from Newark, I forgot, I got a note handed to me. Joe from Newark recommends a funny movie called Thank You for Smoking.
That was the first thing I thought of when we were talking.
So I take it you've seen it.
I have.
Okay. And
it's good.
Okay.
And it's about, in 1 minute, I'll try to narrow it down. There's a salesman. He's in advertising. He's trying to get everybody to smoke. And of course, everybody he meets is anti-smoking, and they're always on his case about, why are you doing this? This kills people, or, you can give somebody lung cancer, this, that, or the other. And he goes, it's just my job.
Oh.
It's just my job. But, the public face is, hey, he's always has a cigarette in his hand. He always, has packs of cigarettes to hand out. Yeah. Thanks. And that's the name of the movie is Thank You for Smoking. And at the end, of course, something comes along to make him change his mind or change his policy, his own personal policy. And it ends on a note of, okay, I'm not going to smoke anymore, and neither should you. But it's a really good movie. That description did no justice to it, but it's a great movie. It stars Aaron Eckhart, and it's just phenomenal.
Is that right before he shoots Jimmy Hoffa? Or?
You've seen it. Never mind. Wait a minute. Right. Is Rosebud the sled?
Who could have thought Luke Skywalker was... I blew it. I blew the line.
Darth Vader's... Oh man, spoilers! You've given everything away now.
I ruined the line. But in The Simpsons, one of the first Simpsons, when they were really awesome at the beginning, Homer's walking out of the movie theater. The line's all the way around the building, and he goes, "Who'd have thought of it? Darth Vader's father's." Damn! I keep blowing it. Do the line for me, because I keep screwing it up.
Who'd have thought of it? Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father.
It was, thanks a lot, Mr. Spoiler. I couldn't get the word out, because I don't know much about Star Wars.
Hey, listen, you haven't missed too much. Out of the 10 movies or 11 movies that have been released so far in the Star Wars universe, only 3 are worth watching. And I am firm on this. No one will change my mind. Not Uber Mike, not Jeff, nobody. You got to watch Rogue One, and then A New Hope, and then Empire Strikes Back, and then stop watching. That's it. Those are the ones you need to watch. Everything else is the same movie over and over again.
Now, okay, when I was a kid, there was Star Wars.
Right.
Then there was The Empire Strikes Back.
Right.
So you're saying don't even watch the first one called Star Wars.
Well, the Star Wars is the first one that we saw, me and you, when we were little, was A New Hope.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They renamed it?
No, it's part 4. They start it in the middle of a story, and it says, Part 4, A New Hope. Star Wars. And
imagine if your brain took 5 seconds longer than everyone else's to understand something.
I'm not sure I get it.
Okay. Go back in time. Let's journey back in time to the beginning.
Yeah.
George Lucas imagines the Star Wars universe in his head as a 9-part series. He starts with part 4. So you've started off, me and you when we were little, started off with Star Wars, which was called, or subtitled, A New Hope.
Okay.
The second movie that we saw was Empire Strikes Back, which was part 5.
Okay.
And then part 6 was Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
Okay. Then you jump back in time and you go to the first part of Star Wars, which 1 through 3.
Like a prequel?
Well, they're prequels to what we saw.
Okay.
But they're part of like an ongoing story that he had in his head. And then the last 3 that came out over the last 5 years in just Star Wars, were the final 3 parts of the overarching story.
Okay.
But I would argue that most of them are just repeats of different movies. Yeah. I mean, how many times do you destroy a Death Star in Star Wars? 3 times.
I think he just knows anybody will watch any piece of garbage he puts out.
Well, it's not even him anymore. Now it's moved on. I think it's a Disney property now. And he's sold off like the movie rights and whatnot, but was smart enough, I think, to hold on to all the rights to all the toys and stuff.
Yeah, that's where the money is.
Oh, sure, right sure. So, but then they released like 5 years ago. If you're interested, I can keep going. If you've had enough, I can stop.
It's boring.
Yeah.
You're boring everybody. Quit boring everyone.
I'm kidding. But let's go to this list so it might be a little more general information. Sure. Oh, yeah, your specific nonsense stories of your childhood are great. But no, mine aren't.
But they're not specific. I mean, you and I in our generation experienced that for the first time,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I saw those first 3, but not because I wanted to go, because my best friend at the time convinced his mom to dump us off there. So anyway, and it was neat just to get out of the house and do something.
Always.
As far as like movies that I really love, I think Boogie Nights is spectacular. I think it's a masterpiece in cinematography. Have you watched Boogie Nights?
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I like that, and obviously Goodfellas, Clerks. I like because it's made for $27,000 and it's entertaining for $27,000 versus hundreds of millions of dollars to make other films. Kevin Smith made Clerks for $27,000, and I enjoy it. That's crazy. All right, well, going on to some new laws that are taking effect in the United States here. We already mentioned non-medical marijuana use is now legalized in Illinois. It's the 11th state to allow recreational marijuana use, but mind you, it's still a federal law that it's illegal to use marijuana. It's still classified up there with all the other narcotics, which is ridiculous. And Ron Paul and Barney Frank got together in like 2000, I'm going to guess 2007, and tried to get rid of that federal law, and none of those other people joined in on them. Idiots. All right, so it's still illegal federally.
What I don't understand is they're creating a self-sustaining black market. I don't understand why this has taken so long.
I do not know why. It is ridiculous. Well, they asked, and I have the audio, I was going to play it, I got to pull it up, but they asked Lindsey Graham about it. And, of course, Lindsey, I never thought I could hate Lindsey Graham anymore, and, of course, he won't vote for it, and he proved I can hate him more. All right, so in Oregon, standard plastic shopping bags are now banned. Now, I'm a total extremist libertarian, but you know what? If it's an environmental thing and creatures in the sea are dying, getting wrapped up in these things, and you could just as well bring your own bag and take it home. I actually do that now. I mean, I shop at a place where I've been using the same cardboard boxes, the same vodka boxes I've had, from buying cases of vodka, if you want to get inside my mind. And I just load them up with my groceries. I take them out of the cart. I push the cart back. I get my quarter back out of the cart so they don't have to pay a guy to round up the carts. I prefer it because that way the carts don't run into my car and put door dings in my car. So if the reason for the plastic bag ban is because of pollution and whatnot, you know what? I'm fine with that. You think that's what it is for?
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I think part of that is what it's for. Yes.
Okay.
No, and I try to be good too. I buy the reusable bag and use it until it just wears out.
Hey, there you go. All right. New York will end cash bail for misdemeanor and non-violent felony offenses. The law is already getting hundreds of pretrial defendants released from jail. I'm for that, as long like the way they described it as misdemeanor and non-violent felony offenses. I'm fine with that. Washington State will continue to micromanage car seat positioning, making it illegal to put a child under 2 years in a forward-facing car seat. I don't have kids. I don't care. I never had them. Never will. Too late now. New Hampshire will start letting residents. I double pluralized it.
Nice.
They'll let the residents choose to mark X as their sex on their driver's licenses instead of choosing male and female. I don't care at this point. When I was younger, I'd be like, "Yeah, you put what you were born." I'm starting to turn around on that. I don't even care. Just as long as I don't have to pay for it, I don't care. Go have your thing turned into a different thing. I don't care anymore. All right. I don't recommend it, but as long as I don't have to pay for it, go ahead. Have fun. New Jersey has made it illegal for employers to ask job candidates about their salary history.
That's awkward. That's another awkward thing about getting jobs. This came up again about getting jobs. They ask you, what's your preferred salary? Oh, my preferred salary? Yeah. Well, I would like to start at $90,000 a year. That's my preferred salary.
Yeah.
Are you seriously asking me this without having met me, without having the decency to say hello, let's shake hands? I'm not telling you. What's the point of that?
Yeah, that's a dumb question.
But you can't finish a job application online if you don't fill it in.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, they've made it illegal for employers. I think they're taking away the right of the employers at that point. So I'm going to say I'm against it. Colorado has a controversial red flag law, and it's taking effect, in this new year that we're in, this new decade, I guess, making it easier for family members or local authorities to confiscate guns from people deemed dangerous. This I am against, and I'm going to say why. Because every girlfriend and boyfriend that break up and the boyfriend has a gun or the girlfriend has a gun, somebody could abuse that law for no good reason. I've seen it happen to a friend of mine. He got a PFA. He never laid a hand on her. They broke up. It was an ugly breakup. And suddenly I'm driving along down with him to a police station to hold his guns for him until he gets them back after paying a lawyer to get them back. It's ridiculous. So I'm against it.
Everything you touch turns to suck. It's official.
Well, that's the way I feel. I'm sorry, Charlie. All right. Fantastic then. Hey, we'll be back with more of it right after this.
The Rick Jensen Show on AM 1150 and 101.7 FM WDEL.
Yes, the Rick Jensen Show continues. I'm Randy Dasher filling in for Rick. Joined in studio by Charlie Silvestri.
Thank you for having me. It is a blast being at WDEL.
Yes, it is. Very cool being on an FM. This is the first time I've been on I've done this now almost 35, 40 times.
Nice.
But, before this, I worked at an AM only station. 302-529-1017, 302-529-1017. Why do I have to look over at it?
You can just point to me and I'll do it.
I don't want to give out the wrong number. They're like, 20 people called me. No, they didn't. All right. So we were going over some different new laws that came out here with the new year coming in. And, all right, we got up to, the controversial red flag law where, your ex-girlfriend can tell the cops to get rid of your guns when you break up with her. Georgia will stop putting minors on its child abuse perpetrator?
Yeah. Is that it?
Yeah, perpetrator.
Oh, my God.
Sorry.
That's why I'm here.
I speak English. Perpetrator. Sorry. Boy. Registry. And I suppose what that is when, I guess you're under 18 and maybe you do something to another child, I guess.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Okay. Ohio will stop taxing feminine products. All right. Which is good. They shouldn't be taxing that. It's a necessity. It's now illegal in Minnesota to sell a tooth or tusk from any species of elephant, hippopotamus, mammoth, mastodon, walrus, whale, or narwhal. Well, you shouldn't be doing that. I'm a super animal rights activist. Not an activist. I'm not out there doing anything other than saying, don't eat meat on the radio.
I used to, for work, I used to do a lot of restoration work, and we would wind up working with tea services and coffee pots, teapots, and they would have insulators on them. So you could touch the sterling part of the handle, but it's not as hot as the rest of the pot because the insulators are made out of ivory. To redo the insulators, you can't buy ivory.
Rightfully so.
Right, and no, I totally agree. You can reuse old ivory, but you can't travel state to state with it, I think. So, if you need it from someplace, you got to know a guy.
Okay.
But for the most part, we wind up carving nuts.
Well, can you take old piano keys?
You know what? I never even thought about it.
I have an old Wurlitzer. It's like a zillion years old, and I'd love to get rid of it. I mean, I'd love to get something for it. Down in my basement.
You can do some prog rock with that baby.
Yeah. It's old. But, I don't know if it's worth anything else that's old. It's not, you tell people it's really old, and the common answer is, I got rocks that are old. They're not worth anything, So it might not be worth anything. I'm just wondering if they can reuse it. It's got to have ivory. I would think it has ivory keys. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. It's got to be over 100 years old. I inherited it from my great aunt. She was 1,000 when I was 2. So, all right, it's the Rick Jensen Show. Randy Dasher filling in, joined by Charlie Silvestri. Stay tuned. More of it's coming your way here on WDEL.
The Rick Jensen Show on AM 1150 and 101.7 FM WDEL.
What's up? This is Bam Margera. Bam! Randy Dasher live. Call in, you little jerks.
Yes. The Rick Jensen Show continues. Randy Dasher filling in for Rick, joined in studio by Charlie Silvestri, helping immensely.
Well, thank you very much. People, call in 302-529-1017. We want to talk with you.
Yeah, that's the name of the game. Ironically, that's what this song's called. All right. Are you familiar with the Afghanistan papers?
Tell me all about the Afghanistan.
Well, there's some papers about Afghanistan.
Oh, yeah? Should it be a movie starring Tom Cruise?
Yes, that would be a good movie. All right. Apparently, check out this title. This is on CCN, not to be confused with CNN. It says the title is called "Why the Afghanistan Papers Vindicate War Skeptics Ron Paul and who do you think the second person is?"
Oh no, not Rand Paul, right?
No, good guess though.
I don't know.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Oh God,
my two favorite people. Yeah.
Go on.
Apparently, the Afghanistan investigation by the Washington Post vindicates the foreign policies of Representatives Ron Paul and Tulsi Gabbard. The trove of 2,000 government documents, dubbed the Afghanistan Papers, reveals 18 years of Washington failures and falsehoods. They vindicate Ron Paul's calls for withdrawal in 2007 and 2008, and Tulsi Gabbard's, as she currently seeks the Democratic nomination today. And with that, like if you scroll down, they show Ron Paul on the floor of the House of Representatives. 435 people, and he is on the floor. I don't know if they were all there that day. It was empty.
Well, you know what happens is when they're talking and you only see them on C-SPAN standing in front of a lectern. If you see another camera angle, it's like, wait a minute, who are they talking to? There's like 3 people behind them, and like the galleries are empty, everything's empty. It's
wow.
Well, it's whether it's like some big deal or some just little thing, it's always disappointing that nobody's here listening.
Oh, geez. The only time I've ever seen it packed, and I find this really odd, and it has nothing to do with the specific leader of the specific country, I'm going to say, so don't anyone even think it. The one time I've seen it packed was Benjamin Netanyahu was talking to our Congress. I don't know why a foreign leader was talking to our Congress, but the place was packed, and he'd say one sentence, and then they'd all stand up and give him a standing ovation. They'd sit back down. He'd say another sentence. They all stood up, gave him a standing ovation. He sat back down. That's odd to me that another leader from a completely foreign country was speaking to our Congress. But anyway, maybe have other leaders came and spoke? Does the leader of England come here and talk?
I thought that was an unusual thing. I vaguely remember hearing about that. I think that's unusual.
Yeah. I mean, does the leader of Germany come and speak to us? There are allies. Does the leader of Japan come and no one understands him? No, he probably speaks better English than me. He would have pronounced that last word right. Perpetrator.
Some people, they have, and in one corner of the TV screen, they have somebody doing sign, and the other corner, for Randy and people like me, they have people acting it out with sock puppets.
So Ron Paul made this speech, and I got into trying to play it yesterday with Jeff, and then we went off on tangents, which I love doing. I love when the show goes on tangents. I sit up all night and coming up with 20 things to talk about. We get to 3 of them, we go on tangents, and that's good. But I started talking to Jeff about it, and I played it once on Tuesday. I forget when I did. I think it was in the 3 o'clock hour. And if I keep dragging this out any longer, it'll be the 3 o'clock hour. But, Ron Paul got up on the House floor, and this was, February 12th, 2009. And we had been in Afghanistan essentially since 9/11, shortly thereafter. And he made a speech. And to me, it's right up there. I mean, I really got emotional the first time I heard it. And then when I put some music to it, I've heard it 6,000 times now. So as I was editing it, and now I don't edit a single word or a single flub. It's just the way the man gave the speech exactly. I just kind of had to get the levels. Hopefully they're good. And whatnot. I used some noise reduction to get some of the background noises out, and the mic was pushing a little air and all. Yes, it sounded like that occasionally. But I didn't take out any of the time, any stammers or flubs or anything, and left them all in there. So it's the exact speech on the floor. I just made the audio as best it can be. And, it's a pretty powerful speech. I put it up there with the I Have a Dream speech of, Martin Luther King Jr. It's just one of those powerful speeches. So I'm going to play it 3.5 minutes, and then we'll be right back. I'm going to even turn our mics off, and I'm just going to play. And Charlie Bear and I start talking to me about the Eagles during it. Check it out. You might appreciate it, Charlie. You're an audiophile. You have relations with audios.
I know the work that goes into it.
Without objection, the gentleman is granted 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I have a few questions for my colleagues. What if our foreign policy of the past century is deeply flawed and has not served our national security interests? What if we wake up one day and realize that the terrorist threat is a predictable consequence of our meddling in the affairs of others and has nothing to do with us being free and prosperous? What if propping up repressive regimes in the Middle East endangers both the United States and Israel? What if occupying countries like Iraq and Afghanistan and bombing Pakistan is directly related to the hatred directed toward us? What if someday it dawns on us that losing over 5,000 American military personnel in the Middle East since 9/11 is not a fair trade-off for the loss of nearly 3,000 American citizens, no matter how many Iraqi, Pakistani, and Afghan people are killed or displaced? What if we finally decide that torture, even if called enhanced interrogation technique, is self-destructive and produces no useful information, and that contracting it out to a third world nation is just as evil? What if it is finally realized that war and military spending is always destructive to the economy? What if all wartime spending is paid for through the deceitful and evil process of inflating and borrowing? What if we finally see that wartime conditions always undermine personal liberty? What if conservatives who preach small government wake up and realize that our interventionist foreign policy provides the greatest incentive to expand the government? What if conservatives understood once again that their only logical position is to reject military intervention and managing an empire throughout the world? What if the American people woke up and understood that the official reasons for going to war are almost always based on lies and promoted by war propaganda in order to serve special interests? What if we as a nation came to realize that the quest for empire eventually destroys all great nations? What if Obama has no intention of leaving Iraq? What if a military draft is being planned for the wars that will spread if our foreign policy is not changed? What if the American people learn the truth, that our foreign policy has nothing to do with national security, that it never changes from one administration to the next? What if war and preparation for war is a racket serving the special interests? What if President Obama is completely wrong about Afghanistan and turns out worse than Iraq and Vietnam put together? What if Christianity actually teaches peace and not preventive wars of aggression? What if diplomacy is found to be superior to bombs and bribes in protecting America? What happens if my concerns are completely unfounded? Nothing. But what happens if my concerns are justified and ignored? Nothing good. And I yield back the balance of my time.
Pretty powerful stuff, huh?
Oh, yeah, it's a great speech.
And the part about it never changing from, we had this with Bush.
Mm-hmm.
Bush was 2 terms. Yeah, so we had 2 terms of Bush bombing. We had 2 terms of Obama bombing. He put the bomb in Obama. I mean, there's the guy who ran as going to be the change from the Republican administration. And now we have the Democrats who were supposed to be the anti-war people. Nothing changed at all. And then after Obama, we had this a Trump fella. And nothing's changed, especially today. I mean, the speech now is even, when I made this, it was about 4 days ago. And last night, I mean, essentially, we're all in now with Iran. Don't be surprised if you put on the news some night and you go, oh, that's horrible. Thousands of people in America died. You know they're working on it. This is the one war that I'm reading up on it. I'm no expert, obviously, but I read. I know things. I sound the words out. I ask friends. But nothing's changed. And the only change now is we're in more wars. And Trump ran as like a non-interventionist candidate. I mean, I thought he would be better than Hillary.
You got to wonder what's in it for this, and what's in it for Trump, the Congress, everybody. I mean, I got to believe that you said at the top of the show, we just attacked an ally of Russia. Right. So, who's going to benefit? Who's going to profit? Because ultimately, I think that's the answer. I think that's what Ron Paul was getting at anyway.
Yeah.
Who's going to profit? And, it's not going to be me and you.
No. There's a thing called the Council on Foreign Relations, which I would have never heard of until I started doing a radio show at another station. And listeners would send me emails and school me on this stuff. And the Council on Foreign Relations is a think tank of people. They're not elected. I mean, some of them are. Some of them are elected officials. They're not elected to the Council on Foreign Relations. It's a think tank put together. Like McCain was in it. Hillary Clinton was in it. I think Bill Clinton was in it. A whole bunch of the big cats are in it. But also the people that are in it are like the head of Lockheed Martin. So if you're deciding on our foreign policy and you're the guy that makes the bombs that we're going to spend trillions of dollars on, wouldn't you want a war? And then maybe, and I'm not saying this is what's happening, but here's my guess, that maybe Trump is going to get a bunch of money from donors who make war products, bombs, tanks, planes, jets, rifles, clothing, military clothing, helmets. Yeah, I don't know. It's got to be something like that because these guys all get in there and the wars just escalate. It's not getting any better. So that's why I'm all in for Tulsi Gabbard. She's the only one who's saying it. And, she could get in there. It could be worse, too. I don't know, but she's the only one that's running on her number one thing is end the endless wars. And I'm concerned about the money and the human life.
Well, yeah, I didn't mean it for it to come off as, I don't care about.
Oh, no. I wasn't saying you.
But it's the end result of the profit. Whatever profit margin there is paid for in blood by us, them, everybody around it. Like if they come here, we go there, whatever happens, that is paid in blood to the companies who manufacture the military-industrial complex. I think that's what they used to call it in the 70s, right?
Yeah, 60s, didn't 60s? Eisenhower warn us about that? Yeah. Beware of the military-industrial complex. I remember doing a radio show at another station, and a caller would call in and be so happy. And, this is after 9/11, and this would be every phone call.
Okay, here's the thing. How many times have they attacked us here?
Of course, what, like 9/11?
Okay, since then, ignore that one. But since then, there has been no attacks, and that's because of Bush. Bush rules. Goodbye. I gotta go. I got hair to cut.
That would be every phone call from the same guy. But, they get caught up in being so pro-Bush on that. But, then Obama, it's like the Who song. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss.
That's what everybody says, and that's the way it seems to go. Now, things spiral out of control. This wasn't out of our control.
Well, that's to be debated. Let's do a commercial so we can go to Scott, and he has some time before the following break.
Hang on. More with Rick Jensen is just ahead on AM 1150 and 101.7 FM WDEL. The Rick Jensen Show on AM 1150 and 101.7 FM WDEL.
Yes, the Rick Jensen Show continues. Randy Dasher filling in for Rick, joined in studio by Charlie Silvestri.
And soon to be joined by Scott.
That's good. That is good. All right, and we will go to Scott.
Gentlemen may proceed.
Hey, Randy.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm feeling great.
Good.
Thank you. How about you? How are you feeling? How's your health today?
My health is good. How about yourself?
Are you eating? I'm good. I just ate a whole bunch of blueberries, and I feel really good. And I'm on this anti-inflammation diet. It's really good. I urge everybody to look it up and try it for your health.
Cool.
It really helps you out. Yeah, it really smooths you out.
Nice.
You know, Tulsi Gabbard, I'm so impressed with Tulsi Gabbard that, you know, I'm so glad you brought her name up. I really think she's great. I don't know much about her domestic policy and how she is on economic affairs, but she certainly has the foreign policy issue nailed down tight.
You won't get that from those other guys.
She's a very charismatic, she's a very beautiful woman. She's very strikingly beautiful.
And that's basically the biggest qualification.
No, but
it doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt. Exactly. It doesn't hurt.
And she's just photogenic, and she tells the truth, and she lays it out straight. And I just am so impressed with Tulsi Gabbard. You know.
I am as well. And all I heard was her first two things. You know, her first, every time she starts what her issues are, or her platform is, it's end the endless wars, save $4 billion a month. And the second thing is end the war on drugs to save money and to stop locking up people who aren't harming other people.
I've isolated one quote of hers.
Okay. What is it?
That's hot.
Okay. But yeah, she is, she's amazing. I'm all in. How did you hear about her, Scott?
Yeah.
No, how did you hear about her first?
Well, I looked her up. I just said, who's Tulsi Gabbard?
Okay.
And I did this a couple months ago.
Okay.
And then I looked at her picture, and gee whiz, she's very attractive.
She's smoking
what's
hot.
She doing? Yeah, she's smoking blazing. And what's she doing running for president?
Yeah.
And she is running for president, and she's tall, and she's a veteran. She's a combat veteran.
Yes.
From Iraq. Served in Iraq, and she has a very interesting lineage. She's part Hindu, part Samoan.
Yeah.
And I don't recall anybody with that type of background. And so that's the kind of thing. That's the kind of person that America needs. That's what we need. We need somebody who's coming from a different perspective. To represent us.
You know what I also like? Oh, go ahead, sir.
No, go ahead.
I also like that she's for, climate change, but she's a vegan. I mean, she puts her money where her mouth is. When I hear somebody say that we need to take money from everybody because of climate change, and then they're eating cows every day, they look a little hypocritical to me. At least she's a vegan. She doesn't drink a drop of alcohol. She doesn't get high. Yeah, I don't mind other people doing that, but maybe the president should have their wits about them, you know? I'm coming up on a break. Would you like to hold through, or you want to call back?
Thank you. It would be an honor to hold, yeah.
All right, let me put you on hold. Fantastic then. All right, it is the Rick Jensen Show, and we're coming up here on the news. Stay tuned for more of it. I'm Randy Dasher filling in along with Charlie Silvestri. Stay tuned.
WDEL Wilmington, WDEL FM Canton, WSTW HD2 Wilmington.
WDEL, Delaware's News Radio.
.48 cloudy, AM 1150, 101.7 FM, WDEL.
What's up? This is Bam Margera. Randy Dasher live. Call in, you little jerks.
Yes. Randy Dasher live. Filling in today for Rick Jensen. Joined in studio by the lovely and talented Mr. Charlie Silvestri.
Well, thank you.
And without further ado, let's go back to Scott in Milford. Scott, thanks for holding.
Oh, no problem at all, Randy. Yeah, the Tulsi Gabbard really, she's quite a star. And she's only 38 years old. So you want to look, she's got a very bright future, a long future in politics, I hope.
Well, she actually has decided to not run again for her current House of Representatives seat. she's all in for this president thing, and it doesn't look like she's going to win. But maybe she could run for something else.
Yeah.
If she doesn't win, or maybe she could run for Senate or something. That's a much more powerful position to be a senator than be one of 100 versus one of 435.
Well, I liked her vote on the Trump issue, of course.
Yes,
and that was the right vote. Come on, people.
I agree.
That was the right vote, and I don't want to get into that, but she basically told the Democratic Party, to shove it.
Yeah,
she's not going to take any orders from any political party.
You know why?
Even though she is a Democrat.
I think the reason why Clinton hates her so much, she supported Bernie, and all the other ones supported Clinton back when Hillary was in the primary, trying to get the nomination.
Yes, and she called her a Russian agent.
Yes.
So, oh boy, we really got problems with our political system, and the people, the people that have been around for a long, long time, they got to go, and that's what's hurting us so badly. We don't have new blood coming in.
Yep.
But about Tulsi, one more time, I don't want to beat this thing to death, but the thing about her is she leads by example, like you say. She believes in climate change, and she lives that kind of lifestyle.
Yeah.
And what really irritates me more than anything else is like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren and all these other people running for president. I don't know about the guy from South Bend, but they're all talking about raising taxes and let's go after the rich people and let's get these billionaires. And they're sitting on millions and millions of dollars.
Yes.
And big houses all over the place. And they're talking about climate change. What about their climate footprint? I mean, talk about your hypocrisy. But thanks for letting me come on your show.
Thank you so much, Scott. I really appreciate everything you said. You're a great caller.
Enjoy
Take care.
your day.
Call back anytime. I'll see you, man. That guy's cool. All right. Oh, I didn't have it up. So
That's no problem.
Sounds like it wasn't even plugged in.
No,
Okay.
Sounds like, I don't know.
All right. Fantastic then. I agree with everything Scott said. Seriously, wholeheartedly, I agree with everything he said. I other than the fact that she voted for Bernie back when Hillary was running, and all the other ones voted for Hillary, Hillary is now, like, in my opinion, slandering her. And then there's the people on The View. Did you hear what they said about her on The View?
No.
I have it. It'll take me a second to find it, which means you
what I understand is from what I read the Atlantic and Washington Post and New York Times. I mean, I try to like diversify, but they're mostly, except for possibly the New York Times, everything's centered, and everything that I've read is leaning towards. He referred to it as like, they called her a Russian agent. What the worry is, without going over the top and being silly about it, calling her a Russian agent, is if you cede all of your allies overseas to Russia, which if you're like if you want to stay out of conflict, which this today aside, you could be ceding your allies and all the reputation that you have with your allies to the Russians. I think that's what, without being like full of hyperbole and calling her a Russian agent, is what it's about. But
I think what Hillary said is that she will run as a third party and split the Democrat vote, and Trump will win. Meaning that's why the Russians like her. I know what you're saying. You come off weak. The perception could be that you come off weak if you're a non-interventionist,
or not even weak. Just it could be argued maybe that if you do that, you might come off not even as a non-interventionist, just not as forward thinking. Like, not that the people we have in charge now are forward thinking. By no means are they forward thinking. By no means. But I mean, I understand the argument that's being made against her. I understand it. But, without being silly and saying, oh, she's obviously a Russian agent. Of course, my wife texted me, Tulsi's a Russian agent. Sorry. No, I'm just kidding, Judy. Just kidding, honey. Thank you for listening.
All right. Well, here's where, and as I'm giving full credit to Rick for coming up with this name, and this isn't the newest clip that I'm about to play for you. It's October 21st, 2019. On The View, Rick Jensen calls her joyless Behar, which is pretty hilarious.
Surprised a lot of people during a podcast interview where she gave this ominous forecast about the 2020 presidential election. Take a listen.
I'm not making any predictions, but I think they've got their eye on somebody who's currently in the Democratic primary and are grooming her to be the third-party candidate. She's the favorite of the Russians. They have a bunch of, sites and bots and other ways of supporting her so far. And that's assuming Jill Stein will give it up, which she might not, because she's also a Russian asset.
So most people say she's clearly talking about candidate Tulsi Gabbard, and some other candidates are defending Tulsi getting called out like this. So what did you think when you heard that?
All right, then these geniuses all chime in. Actually, one of them I think is all right. The one that said something nice. The View used to have a libertarian woman on there who was awesome. And then, for whatever reason, she left. I don't know if she voluntarily left. I can't imagine leaving a successful show voluntarily. But for whatever reason, the hot libertarian woman left, and they brought on McCain's daughter. And they're like, and I read people's comments, oh, that's a good replacement. Like, they're the same. Libertarians and Republicans are not the same. And she's not even a Republican, McCain's daughter. She's another neocon like her father. She's a warmonger, a neocon hawk. And the other woman was a libertarian. But anyway, let's listen to this nonsense on The View.
I mean, for me, honestly, Hillary's been dead on with so many things. She told us about Russia. She told us about the probable interference during the debate. She was Secretary of State. She has deep knowledge about world issues. I thought, where's the lie? I've often said that Tulsi is sort of the Trojan horse in this. I mean, she's polling only at 1.2%. Yet she's still in the race. You have her.
That's a BS thing, too. She's only polling. It's the beginning of the race. This is back so early in.
The funny thing about the system that we have, it's not funny, it's depressing, is like you're running, as soon as you're elected, you're running.
Yeah.
For the next thing, whether it's the same position or a step up or a lateral move, whatever. The thing is, you're always running.
Yeah.
That's so. You also have to take that into consideration.
All right. I'll back it up. Just 10 seconds. Here we go.
Is sort of the Trojan horse in this. I mean, she's polling only at 1.2%, yet she's still in the race. You have her being touted by people like Fox News personalities like Tucker Carlson. She's endorsed by sort of the Russians.
David Duke.
Okay, and Rick did talk about this. I almost screamed blank you to her. That is such a BS thing to do to somebody. That'd be like, Hitler likes Charlie on the radio. So what?
Yeah.
David Duke likes her. Bin Laden likes her. So does, But
you think of it, though. I mean, you're getting upset about a show that has its own agenda. It's like, you know that going in. You're wise enough to know that has, that show has an agenda.
Yeah.
I don't see why you're yelling at her.
I'm yelling in the studio at her. I'm yelling at an old tape of her. But it's ridiculous to say David Duke likes her. Oh, you piece of garbage, in my opinion, not the opinion of WDEL sponsors or management.
Being touted by people like Fox News personalities like Tucker Carlson. She's endorsed by sort of the Russians.
David Duke.
David Duke. She has basically renounced that, but she's never renounced the
They've done this. They did this to Ron Paul. They found some racist that supported Ron Paul, and they went, "Oh, that's terrible. A racist likes you." And he's like, "Yeah. Well, what do you expect me to do about that? You know what I mean? Don't like me. You know? Oh, what a BS thing."
Russian support. There have been about 20 Russian bot websites that have supported her since she's announced her run for the presidency.
She tweeted back and called Hillary a warmonger.
Because she is!
That does not do anything for me. She hasn't denied it. She hasn't said anything in her tweets. How dare you? That's outrageous. Of course I'm not. She didn't say that. No. She's just going after Hillary. And like you said, Hillary was right about almost everything. She's been exonerated with that nonsense that they pulled about her server already. So, you know, and this idea that she's doing this to get back in the race, that she said that also, Tulsi. I don't buy that either. I don't think Hillary wants to go through it again. So I think that there's something, I don't say that Tulsi is an agent. I just think that she could be a useful idiot the way Trump is a useful idiot to the Russians.
I'm not going to play anymore. They're an awful show.
You certainly gave them a lot of time. Like I said, I mean, you know what you get when you tune into a show like that. I mean, I hope I'm occasionally here to, you know, you and I may have opposing opinions on things. At least it's not all samey and everybody is rejected. You know, I can't stand that. That's why I don't watch Fox, and that's why I don't watch MSNBC. I can't stand either one.
I don't watch Fox because when I saw them use Frank Luntz's focus group, and they went to one city and he had a focus group of just random undecided Republicans, and then months later they went to a different city. They had a focus group of random undecided Republicans. Well, they didn't know that there's a thing called the internet and people can compare that you had the same actor in both of them. So, and Frank Luntz still works.
Yeah, I don't understand the thinking behind not being in the 21st century. I mean, everything is everywhere at all times and it's available at your fingertips at all times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Go the extra mile. Do your homework.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, maybe we'll take a break and we'll talk about some of the, well, we get into anything you'd like, and I'd also like to stumble across the blackface controversy. Not on the news, the fact that you're wearing it now.
Thank you.
All right.
More Rick Jensen next on AM 1150 and 101.7 FM WDEL. The Rick Jensen Show on AM 1150 and 101.7 FM WDEL.
Yes, the Rick Jensen Show continues. I'm Randy Dasher, filling in today for Rick, joined by my good friend Charlie Silvestri.
I appreciate you asking me.
I appreciate you showing up. That way I don't have to do show prep.
You know, you and I just reconnected on social media. You'd been off it for a long time, at least Facebook. And probably it was the right decision because you see stuff on there that'll just make you crazy. Lately, I've been in the process of, and you may have noticed if you follow along, I've been tracking down family. I've been going back through my family tree and looking for people that maybe I've lost touch with or maybe I didn't even know I was related to.
Yeah.
And I've over the past few months I've tracked down my great aunt whose job it was to raise my dad when he was born. I come from a farm family who was dirt poor back in the day in the 40s. And so her job was to raise my dad. Well, I didn't know she was around until somebody, a distant relative, said to me, "Hey, whatever happened to your aunt?" And I said, "I don't know. I haven't spoken to her since I was a little kid." And I tracked her down. And since then, I've been tracking down a lot of Silvestris and Silvestros because either the vowel got changed at Ellis Island or there was fight amongst family, any number of things. And all the stories are true. So I've been building this family tree along with another family member. Mm-hmm. I've been given as a gift over the holidays a DNA testing kit.
Oh, cool.
And my first reaction was, oh, that's fantastic, because I know all these people now that I didn't know. I always thought I came from a small family. It turns out I come from a rather large family, and it's sprawling everywhere.
Yeah.
And, I'd love to do it. And then I think to myself, well, wait a minute. What's going to happen to the DNA? I haven't done it yet. What's going to happen to the results other than them coming to me? Now, they say, oh, well, everything is, between the two of us, except for this and this, and it's like, well, what stops the data breach that allows my information to all of a sudden fly out to the world? And
you're brought up on charges.
Well, yeah, your mind goes to the weirdest places when you think about things too much.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, if anybody has had experience with doing the DNA tests from any of the sites. I mean, there's a bunch of them. And you can have your tests done. You just swab inside your cheek and gum and send it away in the mail. And then 6 weeks later, you find out everything that's wrong with you health-wise, or could possibly be wrong with you health-wise, because it runs in your family. But then you also can track down people with the same genetic markers and, make contact with them. I haven't done it yet. I've got this kit, and I'm dragging my feet, because as excited as I've been meeting the new family members, well, new to me family members, I'm in the back of my mind, I'm so paranoid, it's ridiculous.
A friend of mine just did that, and he's known all of his life he was adopted, and it's like the greatest thing that ever happened to him, because now he met his birth mother.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. And it turns out, well, I don't want to say personal stuff about, well, I'm not saying who it is. It turns out, and it's all great stuff. I mean, the reason she had to give him up was back in the day, like her parents were like, oh, you're too young to have a kid, and we'll send you away, and then you have to put the kid up. It wasn't her choice. It wasn't his mom's choice. It was her parents, his mom's parents' choice. And,
if anybody's had experience with the DNA testing out there, man, I would really love to hear from you at 302-529-1017. Please call in and try to tell me what your experience was and allay my fears.
All right. There you go. Fantastic. You heard Charlie. 302-529-1017, 302-529-1017. No, it's really turned out to be spectacular. I mean, he couldn't be happier. And he still, obviously loves his adopted family.
That's his family, yeah.
That's his family. So now he's got two families. So awesome. Hey, stay tuned. It's Rick Jensen Show. Randy Dasher filling in along with Charlie Silvestri. Stay tuned. More of it's coming your way right after this.
The Rick Jensen Show on AM 1150 and 101.7 FM WDEL.
What's up, this is Bam Margera. Randy Dasher live, call in, you little jerks.
Yes, the Rick Jensen Show continues. Randy Dasher filling in today for Rick, joined in studio by Charlie Silvestri.
Yo.
Whole lot of stuff to talk about. Maybe how about I ramble through some stuff and you pick one, Charlie? How's that sound?
Hey, that sounds great.
Okay. There's something called actual fake news.
I like the sound of that, but go on.
All right.
Let's hear more.
There is, there's out in Illinois, you can legally buy marijuana, but it's still illegal in a federal sense. And they have decided that if you own a firearm, you can still keep your firearm, although you're still breaking a federal law, because when you fill out a FFL, you have to say you don't smoke weed. Then there's a whole bunch of the blackface newscasts, and I've pulled up some other audio.
I'd like to hear actual fake news.
Actual fake news?
I'd like for 200, Alex.
Let's go with actual fake news. That's such a shame about Alex Trebek. Seems like such a genuinely nice guy. And I like that he just admits that he likes drinking. He doesn't tiptoe around it.
I didn't know that anyway.
Yeah, I've seen him on Jeopardy. He'll just be like, yeah, I enjoy that. He doesn't make.
He's had a really long career. He started out like as a DJ, I think, and then wound up hosting a television music show like we had in Philly, before you and I were around.
Yeah.
I think he had a similar show in Canada. I think he's a Canadian.
He is.
Yeah, so I think he started out, that was his big, claim to fame before Jeopardy.
He must listen to a lot of Triumph, Rush, and Alanis Morissette.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
I don't know too many Triumph songs, but I know a lot of Rush songs. That's all I listened to as a kid.
I think one of the guys from Triumph still tours, although if pressed for a name, I don't think I could help you.
Okay. And I love Alanis Morissette. She's awesome. She wrote, quite frankly, I think maybe one of the greatest songs, top 5 greatest songs of all time, You Ought to Know. I think that's an angry woman.
That is great.
That's a woman-scorned song with fantastic bass line, drums, guitar. She's an incredible singer. It's just a masterpiece. And that's one of those somewhat overplayed songs, but I won't change it. I'll crank it up.
Oh, sure.
I'll sing along badly to it.
And why not?
I'll even the parts they cut out.
Why change for that?
Yeah, I fill in the parts where they cut them out. There's a couple lines they cut out of it. All right. A fake news site republished a hoax story about Ocasio-Cortez, Omar, and Medicare. Okay? A spam website is reposting alleged satire as genuine news in an attempt to spread misinformation about, AOC and Omar from Minnesota. In one post published December 23rd, I don't know if you read the name or it's all caps, I'm just going to give the letters. AJUAnews.com claimed that the Democratic representatives said they want to get rid of government benefits for seniors. Several links on the website try to get readers to download antivirus software they didn't need.
Really? I'm stunned.
And while we're talking about that, I'm on Facebook, and what they'll do every time is they'll put a beautiful girl in a picture that, she's not nude because there's no nudity on Facebook, and that's fine.
You'll never believe this picture in the 70s that we weren't allowed to show.
Yeah.
No, I never clicked through that.
Oh, my God. I'm on like the 30th click, and I'm like, what do they have to gain from this? What are they getting from me? Or does it count like the unique visits to their website?
It probably does. It probably does to an extent.
Where's out my mouse?
Well, yeah, that's clickbait. So you go through and you go through and you go through. So every time you stop, if you notice, the ads will change occasionally when you're clicking through.
Okay.
Hey, you want to hear something even more weird than that? I mean, yeah that's annoying.
I do.
But clickbait is annoying. But the weird thing is, I don't know if you have an Alexa in your house.
No, I'm very much against that kind of stuff. I don't want anything coming on and listening to me.
Well, you know what? They don't say that it does or she does, however you want to refer to that object and that app. But you can be talking, for example, about, hey, I really like those Shure microphones. Oh my gosh, they're so great.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the next time you're on Facebook, what do you see? All Shure microphones.
Wow.
Like every variety, from lowest price point to highest price point.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, well, it's just the two of us and Alexa.
Yeah.
So who, how else would they know?
I'd get that thing out of the house.
So, you're trading, lazy comfort, which I kind of enjoy.
Yeah.
For any privacy that you have, which I also enjoy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's, I'm conflicted because you can say, oh, Alexa, turn down the heat. It's way too high.
Really? You have it set up with that?
Oh, yeah. And, Alexa, turn the living room lights on. And, all that stuff.
Wow. You are lazy.
I am. I'm so lazy.
My one buddy has it, and I walk in and I go, Alexa, play Drake, started from the bottom. And the other guy gets all mad. Why are you listening to this? I'm like, I like the song. Yeah, I bet. I'm like, I really do like the song. I bought a keyboard just because I want to learn how to play that groove. It's the same groove for like 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's the only reason I bought a keyboard. I just think it's a cool video. It's very funny. I think he's a talented guy. I'm going to go out on a limb. Drake is very talented. All right. So, they intend to screw over our greatest generation by removing from them everything that we've earned over the years, the article reads. The two held a joint... we went on 10-minute tangent there. Let me go back and describe. It's actually a fake... It was a satire thing that someone took all the parts about, hey, the following is a satire out, and then posted it. So that people think, people genuinely think that AOC wants to get rid of Medicare, which meanwhile she probably wants to expand it, you know? Yeah. Obviously she wants to expand it, but they're trying to make it so like, get rid of her old people, like she just wants to
well, of course,
euthanize them or something.
We live in an era where like the dirty political tricks can be used to the nth degree now. I mean, you know, anybody who has a keyboard and you know, any kind of computer, or any kind of computer connection, you can do whatever you want. Yeah. It doesn't matter who gets in the way, you know, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
There was an article, and it got me. I read it like 3 times. It said this was back during the Republican primary before Trump got the nomination, and it says Ron Paul hasn't decided who to vote for yet. He's not sure if any of the candidates are libertarian enough. And I read it, and I was like, oh my God, that's so weird. You'd think he'd support his son. And then I read it again, and I'm like, this is the weirdest. And then I realized it was The Onion. They fooled me, Jerry. Yeah, I fell for it. Of course he supports his son.
The Onion's great. Yeah, I like their goofy stories.
I just overlooked that part, and I totally fell for it. So this goes on and on, but you can get the idea. They try to make it sound like these two are nuts. They don't need to do a fake article.
I was waiting for that.
We already know they are. All right. Okay. And there's other things. I got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about here. All right. Let's go on to the firearms out in Illinois, where you can now buy recreational marijuana, where they had $3.5 million in sales day one.
That's amazing, but not a surprise. Yeah. It's just amazing.
Yeah. Did you see the lines?
No.
They weren't like,
I read
like
that
a couple blocks.
Yeah,
they were. I'm not really exaggerating. I mean, I have no way of judging it, and I didn't read anything that estimated it. It very well could be miles to measure it in, the lines. It was insane. I just saw somebody's camera phone driving past.
It's cool. I mean, it's something that should have been done a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, it's at odds, I guess, like every other state with the federal laws. So it's always like, okay, so who gets to figure that? When does it become wrong? You know, it should be changed at the top.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, if anybody wants to join in, you're welcome to. This isn't just the Charlie and Randy and you're not allowed to join in show. It is 302-529-1017, 302-529-1017, and you don't have to be on topic. I don't mind.
Please, give us a new topic.
You know what I used to hate, though? Other than, I don't really mind too much if somebody, is listening and they change the topic, but the worst thing would be, I would be on another station, and I would be so passionate about whatever I was talking about, and then it'd be like, Jay would go, somebody's on the phone, and I go, hey, Mike, how you doing?
Yeah, what are you guys talking about? I can't hear you where I'm at.
That would be the worst.
That is the worst. I was hoping somebody was going to call in about the DNA test. I'm really curious about it, but hey, you know what? I'll let you know next time around. By then, maybe I'll have done it.
My friend couldn't be happier about taking it. But again, he was adopted and he met his birth mother, so now he has his mother and his birth mother.
I thought
and a whole bunch of other relatives.
I thought for sure somebody was going to tell me, like, come on and say, oh, no, don't do it. I mean, I know the crackpots had listened to WDEL.
Yeah.
So, I expected at least one call.
Sure.
Oh, well.
All right.
I'm not going to beg them.
Yeah. This is, according to Reason, which is a wonderful website. Rick has told me about Reason, but this was actually sent to me by my good friend David X. And he said, this article says, although cannabis consumers who own firearms are federal felons, Illinois says they can keep their guns. Which is, they should be able to keep their guns.
Sure.
But I'd be a little nervous filling out that form that says, oh yeah, now I'm going to be buying weed legally, because I'm sure they take every form of ID and everything.
You know what? You can take legal drugs. You can... Let me tell you, you can take legally prescribed drugs and fail a drug test.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the, well, how much do you need to know about me?
Yeah.
I think you've had enough. You know enough about me.
I know that one question is on those forms, the FFL forms. If you go to a gun show and you buy one and you're filling it out and you're reading one question slower than the other one. But, if you're not using it at that time or whatever, you know what I mean? Like you're not breaking, but it is a little weird. I can only imagine if I were a regular, marijuana user, and then I were going to buy a gun. If you answer that question honestly, then they're going to deny you. If you answer it lying, are you committing a felony? I mean,
yeah, that's a tough call.
It's really weird, but you can still drink as much as you want. No, I'm just an alcoholic. Give me the gun. Yeah, you can do that. And then this is where my next door neighbor would say, the one on the left of me, we've talked about, when I say the left, I don't mean the political left. We've had discussions about legalization of marijuana, and he said, well, just because alcohol is legal, let's not add more things to it. And there was no change in his mind on it. And I just said, all right, I gotta go.
You know what? That baffles me because, okay, think of it this way. Think of it as marijuana appears naturally, whereas to get any good alcohol, you have to process it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're right.
I don't understand the dichotomy, I guess, whatever you call it.
Cool word. Cannabis consumers in Illinois where state-licensed marijuana dispensaries started serving recreational customers on the first, this is a day old, I guess, what I'm reading. Or maybe it was yesterday. Yeah. Maybe they didn't sell it on, this is dated 1/2. Okay. All right. I guess they opened on New Year's Day selling it. They were the only people working that day, other than people, certain stores that were open and law enforcement and so forth. But anyway, basically, the gist of it, I'm not going to sit and bore you with reading.
Bore me.
It's boring. It's basically, it says that, you're in a quandary. You're kind of breaking the law because, you federally are breaking the law. They need to work all this stuff out. It's getting ridiculous. We need to just make a federal law that marijuana is legal.
Totally
all 50
agree.
states should make it legal. And they should take that question off of at least take marijuana off of that question. If they want to put others, narcotics, Schedule 1 or whatever, I don't know what they call it. But
I was just wondering that too. Yeah, they shouldn't belong in the same category.
Yeah, just take the marijuana off there. Maybe you probably shouldn't be doing crack and buying a gun.
Probably not.
I'm going to go out on a limb.
I don't want to harsh anybody's mellow, but don't do that.
No, don't do that. Hey, we'll be back with more of it right after this.
There's more Rick Jensen coming up on AM 1150 and 101.7 FM WDEL. The Rick Jensen Show on AM 1150 and 101.7 FM WDEL.
Yes, the Rick Jensen Show continues.
And we're glad that it's continuing.
Yes. No one's pulled the plug yet.
Not yet. Soon.
Yeah. If you'd like to join in on the program, 302-529-1017. 302-529-1017. Randy Dasher filling in along with Charlie Silvestri.
Hey
now. Of course, it wouldn't be a show on the 3rd of January without at least talking a bit about the Mummers blackface controversy.
Yeah?
Yeah. There you go. All right, we talked about it. Now, here's one of the newscasts, and this was actually just last night, 6:30, CBS Philly, and CBS 3 on Philly, in Philly. And, this was after I was done doing a show yesterday, so it's really fresh for this current show. And let's just hear some of it. Here we go.
Down Broad Street, but it's the makeup of two performers drawing the most attention.
Those mummers from the Froggy Car Club wore blackface, and now they are trying to defend their actions.
I know people in that, by the way.
Was live
really?
in South Philly this morning outside of the Froggy Car Clubhouse. Jan.
Oh, we actually have somebody on the line. Sorry. All right. I didn't realize there was actually a caller waiting. John. Let's go to... Yeah, we will go to John in Johnville. Hello, John. Thanks for calling the show. We're great.
All right.
What's happening?
Yeah, I just wanted to share with you. I'm in my 60s now, but I had found out I was adopted when I was like in 4th grade. And I had a secretary back in the 90s who was into genealogy. And long story short, we wrote a letter to this lady and didn't hear nothing, found out. Then we did another letter to a dude. It's a double-edged sword. It's, it was nice to find out a little history. I met biological mother, biological father. They had been divorced for 25-plus years. Met some, I'm the middle of 7 in my family. So,
John, you're cutting out, and your phone's breaking out a lot bit.
It's a shame. I wanted to hear this.
You're back, but you cut out for about the past 12 seconds at least.
Go ahead. I'm still here.
Okay, now you're here. Go ahead. Say what you were saying. Your phone cut out.
Yeah, I was. I had met. In the biological family. I'm the middle of 7.
Okay.
And I've met probably 4 of them. There's 3 of them that are younger than me. But you'll love this. So my son's 35. He does the 23andMe thing.
Yeah.
He gets an email from some, I say check, from some girl who says that, hey, she's a 25% match. Come to find out it's my youngest biological sister. Haven't met her yet, haven't spoke to her yet. I reached out, well, she reached out to my boy, and then I reached out to her saying, hey, I've done a lot of legwork. If you're interested, give me a call. She had said she will. I don't care. Yeah. I'm set in my life. It's kind of cool. It's unique.
I wanted to know. I mean, so you recommend the 23andMe thing?
No, I didn't do it myself.
But your son?
I have no intention on doing it. My son did it.
Mm-hmm.
And this lady reached out to him and said, hey, they were a 25% match.
Oh, wow.
So she said, and so she starts asking my boy questions, like, anybody in your family adopted? Come to find, like I said, I haven't spoke to her yet, but she told my son that, her parents said that she was the only one, and they may have because, we're all older. So she may have been the only one in the the family at the time.
Wow, John. Hey, John, I got to go to a break. I'm sorry. We have to hit the hard news. But
yeah, great.
If you want to hang on or call back, whatever you'd like to do, okay?
Yeah, you can hang. It's fine.
All right, I'll pan you down. Hang on. Hang in there, John. All right, fantastic. Stay tuned. The news is coming here. It's Randy Dasher and Charlie Silvestri filling in for Rick Jensen. Here's the news.
WDEL Wilmington, WDEL FM Canton, WSTW HD2 Wilmington.
WDEL, Delaware's News Radio.
Right now, it's cloudy, 49 degrees at AM 1150, 1017 FM, WDEL.
All right, yes, the Rick Jensen Show continues here. I'm Randy Dasher filling in today, joined by the lovely and talented Mr. Charlie Silvestri.
Accent on lovely.
Yes. And we have John on the line. We also have Greg after John. So we will get to you, Greg, shortly. But let's first go back to John. Hey, John, thanks for holding on.
Hey, my pleasure.
So when we last left you, you were describing how your son got the 23andMe or one of those DNA tests, you say?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, he, like I said, this lady reached out to him and said that she was a 25% match. She asked a bunch of questions. My advice, if people are going to do it, keep it to yourself. If you're adopted, people are going to want, it's a double-edged sword, like I said earlier. You're going to meet a lot of people possibly that
full speed
remember you, maybe. People who didn't, they're sorry they lost you. They're happy they met you. Other people are, if you're successful, they may not be. It's hard to say.
But,
well worth it though in the long run.
Well, your son is definitely on board with it. Then he thought it was worthwhile and worthy.
Yeah, for the 23andMe, sure, because, they were badgering me to do it. Oh, don't you want to, share with your grandchildren, what deficiencies I have? Well, they already know what deficiencies I have. I'm just joking.
Yes. we know our deficiencies, too.
Right. So, let him do it. I always joked and said if they were to pay for it, I'd probably do it, but probably not. It doesn't do anything for me personally. But there are two others out there now that maybe they don't know they were adopted. So it's kind of like, do I want to invade their privacy or, it's hard.
Well, if they've already taken the test, then you wouldn't be invading. You'd probably be the answer to one of their questions.
Good point. Very good point. You want to pay for it? No, I'm just joking.
All right. That's enough from John. Moving on. No, thank you very much.
That was awesome, John.
My pleasure. Bye.
Thanks, man. Take care. I appreciate his insight. And let's go to Greg. Greg in Middletown. Yes. How are you, Greg?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I am doing well, sir. What's on your mind?
Very good.
You want to talk
totally
about
off subject?
Yeah.
You ever seen the show Monk? Seen the show Monk?
Yes, I have, and I think it's a very good show.
Yes. Do you know the two detectives' names other than Monk?
Tony Shalhoub or something, whatever his name is.
No. In the show, one was Randy Disher.
Yeah. Yes. I was just about to say Randy Disher. Yeah, that's so close to my name.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember the older guy, the captain. Captain
Kroger?
Oh, Stottlemyre.
Stottlemyre. Yeah.
And do you know who Stottlemyre played in The Silence of the Lambs?
Yeah, he was the killer. He was the
killer, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, anyway, I just thought it was funny that, Randy Disher, and I heard you this morning. I was like, Randy, where have I heard that name? And I went, Monk. I got to call him.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. It was weird. Whenever I see that actor in any other show, it's always hard for me to get my head around the fact that he was the crazed butterfly killer in Silence of the Lambs. And so he's playing the straight man in a comedy, basically, in Monk. And yet, his history is playing, the well-known bad guy.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I just watched it a couple months ago. I was like, oh my goodness, that's Stottlemyre.
Oh, now I got to watch it again. Wow. That's awesome, man. Well, thank you, Greg.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Take care, man. Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See, you guys can be cool. You can be cool like Greg. And Charlie has a list of everyone who's been cool today.
Well, man, we've had so many people be cool so far. We had Joe, we had Uber Mike, we had Scott, John, and then Greg. So we've had quite a few people call in. And please join on the cool list and give us a buzz at 302-529-1017.
Who can be the coolest? Isn't that from Adam Sandler says it?
Yes.
The one kid.
What is that?
He pees his pants.
Oh, yeah.
It's the coolest. So he goes to a water fountain and splashes water on his pants.
It's cool to pee your pants.
It's the coolest. All right. So some calls are rolling in. But I will not just stand there and wait for the calls. Sometimes that's how you can fall into a rut where you're going, oh, he wanted to talk to somebody else at the radio station off air.
Well, you know what? I had a whole bunch of stories today, and they were all weirdly, I didn't try to do this, but about like smoking or cigarettes or what have you.
Yeah.
And now the United States, apparently, they're considering a countrywide ban on e-cigarette flavors because somebody smoked some like home doctored what do they call them, flavors? The juice. And so now they're going to try to outlaw some stuff. And it's like, you know what, there's another thing that you're trying to protect me from that I don't need you to protect me from.
And Rand Paul, he's a doctor, granted he's an eye doctor, but he does have a medical background. They make you learn a certain amount of stuff before you can be called a doctor. And he came out and said, look, we're jumping the gun on this. These cigarettes vaping may be helping people get off of more harmful cigarettes. Let's not just rush to judgment and get rid of these things. And with that, let's go to Dave. We will go to...
Gentlemen may proceed.
Hello, Dave. How are you? Dave, the electrician.
Hi, Randy. Hi, Charlie.
Hey, Dave.
How you doing? Listen, Randy.
Yes, sir.
I'm afraid of Americans.
I am too.
He's also David Bowie.
Yes.
What about this thing? Are they going to start a war now?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's World War III. Here we go. I mean, I don't want pandemonium out there in the street. I'm just saying it's like it's going to be world. I'm saying that, not the news.
Nah. I have to call you out on something you told me about 9 months ago, maybe a year.
Yeah.
Sandy Hook, you read from some kook that it was all a hoax.
No. I watched an hour and a half documentary that brought up about 100 weird things about Sandy Hook.
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
Oh, that was the hoax.
Did you watch
it? Read up on it. No, I read up on it. I couldn't find that. I couldn't really find it. You said it was some professor from England or something?
Her name's Sophia Strongstorm. It's called Sandy Hook in the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth dimension. You
don't really believe that, do you?
I'm saying if you watch it...
Because, Alex Jones and other people were sued over that. Alex Jones... Oh, God, yeah, I didn't really mean that. I'm saying
watch it. You need to watch it. You need to watch it with an open mind, and then at the end go, wow, that is weird that the people at the firehouse are walking in the front door, out the back door, around the parking lot, in the front door, out the back door, around the parking lot. There's not one drop of blood in the footage I'm seeing in the show. You need to watch it.
There's no blood in the classroom. Nobody was...
They don't have any shots in the classroom. There's no shots.
Well, yeah. What blood are you talking about?
Outside in the triage area.
No.
You got to watch it. You know, without watching it, me trying to describe something that I watched versus, something that made me think after watching it. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm saying I watched this and I was blown away by it. But it sounds like you've came to a conclusion. You're just going to scream, "This is BS" the whole time you watch it, and you're going to turn it off in the middle of it.
Dave, I'm on your side, Dave. We know you and I know Randy's a crackpot, and he falls for this stuff all the time.
Conspiracy theory stuff, and gets convinced of it.
I know. I'm here to rein him in a little bit.
Well, I'd love you to watch it and then go piece by piece and go, well, there's a reason they're walking in the front door, out the back door, around the parking lot, in the front door, out the back door, around the parking lot, in the front door, out the back door.
I haven't found anything like that. Is what I'm trying. Said I tried to look it up, and I haven't found anything. So
yeah, YouTube removed it.
I can't watch. What's that? I removed it.
YouTube removed it. No, not you.
Oh.
He's a super electrician.
Yeah. YouTube removed it. Why? I thought that person was getting sued, right?
Are you saying that I removed it from the internet? I don't know how to check my
email.
Let me send you the link, all right?
All right, yeah, send me the link.
I will. We got other calls. You're welcome to call back, unless there's something else you'd like to speak. I'm not rushing you off the phone.
I see I got your dander up by calling you out.
No, there's 2 other calls. That's the only reason I'm rushing you off. All right.
Okay.
All right, thank you, mister.
See you, Dave.
Dave hates me now. All right, let's go to...
I think we all hate you now.
Yeah. Let's go to Mike. How you doing, Mike?
Good. We were talking about the Mummers Parade, and yesterday I was talking about the Hummers Parade.
I know.
Who's drinking the purple Kool-Aid?
We stole your bit. We stole your radio bit.
Huh?
We're stealing your radio bit. You brought up the Hummers Parade, and today now I'm talking.
I know.
That's crazy.
And then all of a sudden, on the news, they're talking about the Mummers Parade.
Yeah.
It's like a disease. It's starting to catch on.
I think it is, mister. Yes.
really strange. I heard that on the news today, and I'm like, Jesus, now it's the Mummers Parade, which is a long-going tradition, and the councilman doesn't want to give them a permit to turn around and launch down Broad Street next year. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, my God, what's going on in the world today?
It is rather strange. It could just be two random people. They don't have, like, you know, it all walled off and you show your ID to march in the parade. It's pandemonium. There's people that anybody who could not be affiliated with a group could run out in blackface and go, hey, I'm in the parade. And then they're going to shut the whole thing. It's such a knee-jerk reaction. It's crazy.
It is crazy. It's just wild, though. All of a sudden, all these organizations which never even came to these parades or started any of this trouble in the first place are now getting involved, and they don't even know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they don't even understand what they're looking at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody's had, I remember Mummers Parades from way back when I was a child. And we're talking back in the 60s.
Wow.
And there was always blackface on there. You know? I mean, come on. It was part of the costume. And with the fluorescence and all the tinsel and everything else and the sparkles they put on their face.
Yeah.
It brought out the colors and things. And especially in string bands and stuff like that when they were in with the competition.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, you know, you've seen the Mummers Parade before. It's like really a blown-out show. I never actually went up there in person but seen it, but my TV's big enough. I've seen it was really good looking. You know, some of the elaborate costumes, you kind of wonder how did they do that? You know, glue them feathers on and put all this glitter and everything on their faces and everything, and it stayed on there without, you know, really tearing up your face trying to get it off.
Yeah.
For the competition and the money. And it's like, and the money, and they finally start telling you how much money they were actually getting if they won the prize, but then after they tell you how much they invested in what they did for the costume, just even marching the parade, it was something else. It was like, wow, really? One of the feathers alone, you know, cost X amount of dollars, and you were like, whoo! And it didn't even, the prize money, even if they did win, wouldn't even cover what they actually put into it to march in that parade.
It's clearly a labor of love. The people that do it like to do it, and if one or two people are going to ruin the whole parade, that's kind of a knee-jerk, ridiculous reaction. I think it's just something, it's going to take a long time to gradually, people will gradually realize, okay, I guess some black people are offended by blackface. And you know, maybe gradually it'll phase out. But the last thing I want to see is somebody come up with a law saying it's illegal for a white person to be in blackface, because that's 100 million times worse than being in blackface. So,
what I understand is the Froggy Car, they were dressed up in the Flyers colors, and it was a gritty theme, you know, the mascot for the Flyers. Now, yes, I think, you know, somebody should have, of course, you know, there's a lot of beer going on there, I'm sure. Not that I'm saying that it's wide-ranging at the Mummers Parade like that, but, you know, if you have the presence of mind to paint your face black and you're gritty, well, maybe you can paint your face orange and be gritty, and, like, nobody would have to worry about it. You wouldn't have to think twice. You know, that's just the thought. Gritty's orange anyway. Flyers are black and orange.
I think the guys might have been just trying to push some buttons.
I think so, too. Honestly, I think so, too.
It's still the United States. It's still First Amendment. The First Amendment doesn't protect things that are popular and lovely and common in puppies and kittens. It protects speech that is, you know, maybe controversial. It's meant to protect controversial speech. It's not, we weren't worried about protecting speech that everyone loves. So, hey, I got to take a break.
All right, well,
you cool with that, Mike?
Yeah, I'm cool. You just brought it up, and I just brought it up yesterday, and I was like, wow, what a coincidence.
Awesome.
You know?
Yeah. Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
All right, take care.
Time of the gentleman has expired.
Take care. All right, there he goes. I know we have Steve on the line. I have to take a break. I really want to get to Steve, so I will try to do this as quickly as possible.
Hang on. More with Rick Jensen is just ahead on AM 1150 and 101.7 FM WDEL. The Rick Jensen Show on AM 1150 and 101.7 FM WDEL.
Yes, the Rick Jensen Show continues. And without further ado, let's go out to Steve.
Gentlemen may proceed.
How you doing, Steve?
Hey, Randy.
How you been, man?
Pretty good.
Good.
I was just listening to the show.
Oh, good.
And I just wanted to talk about the DNA ancestry.
Okay, yeah.
So it was a success on my end.
Nice.
You know, like you said, it might not be that way for all people, but when I got my results back, there was that first cousin that was, related. So I emailed her through Ancestry, and within 24 hours, she emailed me back and said it was coming from maternal side. Okay. So she said she'd reach out to some of her relatives, and within 2 days later, I had my birth mother's email address and Facebook and her name, and we messaged privately for a day, and then ended up talking within 4 days of the connection. So
that's great.
It's pretty amazing.
That's great, Steve.
Yeah.
So you're all in for this. You think this is a worthy thing to do?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I was a little cautious at first. One of the reasons I did is because my daughter wanted to kind of know, like, her other part, my part of it. And so I really didn't even think I would ever find out any results about my biological family. I just didn't think of it. It's been 50 years. I'm 50.
Right.
So she, like Randy said, she had me when she was still in high school, and it was kind of back in 1969. It was a closed adoption in Oregon, so none of the files could ever be opened, and by either one of us. So through this, we made the connection. And she actually came. She came here last September with her sister and the first cousin. We all met. It was a really good experience.
So you can circumvent the closed adoption law by using 23andMe, provided that somebody else in your family line has used the service.
Yes.
That's great.
Yep.
That is fantastic, because I know a couple of adoptees that have been running into walls because of the closed adoption.
Yeah. So they actually, I think like 10 years ago, my sister, the adopted family, she contacted me and said Oregon changed their laws and the adoptee could get into the file. But I really didn't know how to do all that. And I live in Pennsylvania. It was hard. And so I just never researched it. And she actually said my biological mother went to the adoption agency like 10 years ago to see if she could find out anything. Mm-hmm. And she found out my name and that I moved with the family to Pennsylvania, and that's all they would tell her. And when they told her, this is just a weird coincidence, when they told her my name is the same name as my biological father. Wow. Just out of coincidence, like Stephen. So it was like, It was pretty weird. Like, and my mom didn't know it. My adopted family named me after my mom's brother, who was Stephen as well. So it was all kind of just a weird coincidence, that end of it. But
hey, Steve, I went over my time limit here. I got to go to news.
Yep.
You can either hang on or you can call back, whatever you'd like. Whatever you prefer.
Yeah, I just wanted to shout out and let my experience.
I appreciate it, Steve. I really do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Steve. Have a great day. See you, man. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Broadcasting live from Wilmington, Delaware. Your on-the-go news source. On air, online, and on your phone. WDEL, Delaware's News Radio. The Rick Jensen Show. On AM 1150 and 101.7 FM WDEL.
Yes, the Rick Jensen Show continues. Randy Dasher filling in today. Joined by Charlie Silvestri.
Hey.
We were talking about some all kinds of different stuff. That was a good flurry of calls.
That was great.
Yes. We were playing the news clip of last night's local news from CBS 10. about the mummers blackface controversy when we before we got a nice flurry of calls. So maybe that stirred up calls. Let's go to the flurry.
Threatening to play the bit.
News Street in South Philadelphia has well over 100 members. You could see in that video yesterday a ton of people marched in the parade. But as you mentioned, now just a few people have this club mired in controversy. At least 2 people associated with this club were spotted wearing blackface yesterday. And when Eyewitness News caught up with them to talk to them about it, they made no apologies about what they were wearing. They were supposed to be celebrating one of the most lovable characters in Philadelphia.
We're celebrating gritty. The theme is frogs getting gritty with it.
But the Froggy Car Club was disqualified from competition following yesterday's Mummers Parade after at least 2 members affiliated with the club wore blackface as part of their costumes.
Oh, blackface and all. It ain't about that. Black and orange. Getting gritty with it.
Eyewitness News spoke with these 2 men who both deny that their blackface is racist.
So why the blackface?
Because I like it. Why not? Yeah, why not? Why not? Yeah. I know it's a shame to be white in Philly right now. Yeah. What's a shame? Yeah.
It has nothing to do about being racist to the black person or the white person or the yellow person, whatever. It's our tradition.
But the Mummers Parade is no stranger to controversy and other instances of racism involving blackface.
Okay, now there's a guy who has a guy on a chain with some gigantic, it looks like his nose is a gigantic nose, like a Pinocchio, like a foot-long nose. And let's listen to some more.
Last year, one skit involved a man dressed as Jay-Z appearing to wear blackface as he treated Mayor Jim Kenney like a dog. City leaders condemned the group because of what appeared to be blackface, but it turned out that the man portraying Jay-Z was black. But
oh, Lord! This racism is killing me inside.
That's the best. Like, someone called him out on it, and the guy's like, yeah, I'm a black guy, thank you. That's the best.
The best thing about that whole clip, that whole thing that you played for me, is you can't top drunk guys being interviewed on TV. Yeah. That's like, I would watch it all the time.
My hat's off to them, they didn't curse.
No, they didn't. No, but I mean... It was, far be it from me to say, well, I know a drunk guy when I hear one, but he sounded pretty drunk to me.
I agree. Those guys were hammered. That's awesome. There's a little bit more of it. And then there was another segment that I pulled just the audio from. I was doing diligent blackface research.
I see.
But this year, with 2 white men wearing blackface, the city took quick action. Mayor Jim Kenney tweeted, the use of blackface by someone affiliated with Froggy Car today was abhorrent and unacceptable. This selfish, hateful behavior has no place in the Mummers or the city itself. The group was disqualified.
What do you say to some of the people who say, why put blackface on? Why not do any other color?
Well, here's what I say. Don't worry about it. That's all. Stay in your neighborhood. Don't worry about it. That's what I do.
And Mayor Jim Kenney went on to say that not only was this club disqualified, additional penalties are now also being explored. We're reporting live in South Philadelphia.
They're trying, somebody wants to say, well, why can't we make a law that you can't be in blackface? And guess what? You can't. Welcome to the United States. Welcome to the First Amendment. You can't.
Yeah, I mean, you would like people to think, have a little forethought. Although I gotta believe that no mummer has any forethought of anything past like 5 a.m., 4 a.m.
They've been getting hammered all night.
Yeah, it's like, well, hey, maybe we do this, we'll get some flack for it. That is probably the extent of it.
Here's another guy. This is just audio that I pulled off the net. Another hammered dude, and this guy's hilarious.
I talk to black people. They told me, what are you talking about? You can wear whatever you want. That ain't discriminating me. That ain't racist to me. That's what they tell me. And it ain't written in a piece of paper, civil rights. Nah, it ain't.
How's the brain for you guys?
Great. I don't do this a lot. My friend of mine passed away. He wore blackface, so I'm doing it for him. And I'll be done with it after this year. But we ain't racist, and we don't look for trouble, and we don't call out the N-word.
Oh, Lord! This racism is killing me inside.
I don't do this very often.
I heard that. I laughed so hard. I didn't do this very often. Wow, that guy's priceless. Now, here is, this is the longer one. It's entirely a year and 2 days old. And there's a reason I'm playing it.
Who has...
There's a reason I'm playing the commercial before it. All right, here we go. And you hit the skip ad.
A controversy has emerged from yesterday's Mummers Parade.
This is last year.
Some of the skit from the Finnegan New Year's Brigade, they took aim at City Hall in last year's Made in America spat, portraying Jay-Z treating Mayor Kenny like a dog. In a statement, City Council President Darrell Clark criticized the group for using a performer in blackface. It turns out, however, that the performer portraying Jay-Z is a mummer who is African American and was not in blackface.
We submitted our skit to the city, and they said, well, under one condition, Jay-Z has to be a black American. And so that's great. I said, we have a couple guys in our club. Let me ask him. He agreed, and I was Mayor Kenny as a lapdog, as Jay-Z's lapdog.
Council President Clark issued a follow-up statement reading in part, many people who viewed clips of this performance, including myself, believed a performer portraying Jay-Z was a non-black person in blackface. We believe this was yet another skit demeaning people of color because every year Philadelphians are embarrassed and outraged by a few Mummers Parade performers displaying bigotry and intolerance.
Well, your jump to conclusion failed. That's funny. I find that funny.
Well, they were set up. I mean, the news organizations and I guess the mayor's office was set up just for that. That was, they supposedly gave the edict. Well, if you're going to do that, it's got to be a black person. It's got to be a black man. And they did it. They did it. Maybe they didn't think they would follow through. You know what? You hope that people are in their hearts better than whatever they're goofing on.
Yeah.
I do. I hope people are better. And generally I can take a joke. A lot of people can't. I mean, and I know people go into situations like that knowing that you can't take it, people can't, and you're pushing their buttons.
Sure.
And you even used that very phrase earlier, pushing buttons. Yeah. And it's like, well, that's coming. Instead of flying off the handle, say, okay, he's obviously an idiot and he's drunk. Yeah. And you know what? I hate it. I tolerate this every year. We should collectively be better, but this is obviously a goof.
Yeah. And for not the two guys that were in blackface, how many guys weren't? I mean, there was thousands and thousands of drunks staggering down that street. And, okay, so two guys. Now you're going to, think about canceling the parade? I mean, my mother used to watch this when she was a little kid. Yeah. My mother, just passed away, and she was 87. So she was watching it when she was a little girl, because she grew up on, Sampson Street. And they had, she was one of, 13 kids, and they owned two of these crappy row homes, and the one house didn't have electric, so they had electric extension cords going out. The next day they had an outhouse. And this was their fun, was watching the Mummers. You know what? It's a tradition, and they cancel the whole thing because of two people. Because you know what's going to happen if they do it again? Two more people are just going to do it. Maybe even buttons. More. Yeah. If you keep making such a big deal about it, more guys are going to do it.
I don't know what the answer is. I mean, I wouldn't be going in blackface. That's just not me. I'm probably overly sensitive to the thing. I try to be reasonable and have forethought in my mind. The interesting thing is, when I lived briefly overseas, they had a character in Amsterdam on December 5th, handing out little cookies to everybody on the street, called Zwart Piet.
Okay.
It's a guy in blackface. And that is a big controversy still, because they're trying to phase that out. America is trying to phase that. Well, there's not a law against it, but maybe you shouldn't do that. And maybe if you're dressing as Gritty, you should be orange like Gritty's orange. But beyond that, I mean, we're not the only country that has an issue like this. I mean, you know, and is that a failing amongst certain people? Yes. You know, I try to be mindful. You know, I can't speak for anybody. I prefer to let the drunks speak for themselves. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's all in due time. I mean, I've changed as a person. I've grown as a person, and some of my thoughts and beliefs. I at one time remember talking to you back when we were on the air in like 2006. I'm gonna guess. I was like, yeah, I don't mind if them gays get married, but they shouldn't adopt. And right now, I couldn't be more for it. And you actually got me on the road to you were like, as long as they're loved by somebody, why would you care? Yeah. You know, and my reasoning was, well, kids are tough enough in school, you know, and they don't need to see somebody with two same-gender parents or something. And you know, as soon as you said that, you kind of got me thinking that you changed my mind on it. And it's made me grow. And then now that was 2006. It's 2020. I couldn't be more pro, you know. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, and thank you for saying that I've changed your mind. Man, there's one person. But, and I can't thank you enough. That's really kind. That's a very kind thing to say. It's true. As you grow older, you hope. I mean, I always hope that I learn from my mistakes or other people's mistakes or family members' mistakes. It's like, well, you know what? I see that going on. Maybe I won't do that. And you know, I try to be a good person. You know, I don't know where I'm going with that, other than like I think you're right. As you get older, hopefully you learn, and I'm still learning. I would say, you know, things have changed greatly in society. I mean, I know people that they're. A guy has his daughter's best friend is a gay man. You know, not gay man. Sorry. A gay, you know, a gay kid the same age. You know, they're teenagers or whatever. And you know, it's a girl, and her best friend is a gay boy. You know, and just it's good. I mean, there's no that guy didn't decide to be that. That's the way he was born. You know, I mean, like he's attracted to men and attracted. I got to tiptoe around it because he's not 18 years old yet. Anyway, I mean, he's gay, and that's just the way it is. But now society is so much more accepting than 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years, 4 years ago. So maybe in time, nobody will be in blackface. But if we don't, you know, you can't make a law about it because that's worse than that's a million times worse than the actual guy in black. You'd like to have it happen naturally and, you know, the thing just go away and become part of the past. I mean, that's what ideally would happen. It probably will. It's just going to take a little time.
More Rick Jensen next on AM 1150 and 101.7 FM WDEL. The Rick Jensen Show. On AM 1150 and 101.7 FM WDEL.
Yes, the final segment is here. The final segment of the Rick Jensen Show for this week.
I'm glad we made it.
Yes, we did. It's Randy Dasher, not Rick today. I'm Randy Dasher. That's Charlie Silvestri.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks to Rick, and thank you to Randy.
Thank you to Chris Carl. Thank you to Charlie Silvestri. It's the thank you show. Thank you to Greg Lance for when I panicked and I touched the side of this monitor and the whole monitor went black, and it's the entire brain of the entire station.
And then he casually strolls in. Now, if you want to see behind the scenes at WDEL,
yes.
as we go into commercial after that, Greg casually walks in, hits a button, and says, you know, there's a lot of people out there who just can't handle anxiety. And then takes his leave. He bowed and then left.
Yeah. It was like he dropped the mic. So, thank you, Greg. Hey, and thanks to Jeff for sitting in yesterday. Thanks, obviously, to Charlie sitting in on Monday and Friday. And, we had some callers. You want to rattle them? I will write down the callers.
I do. That's one of my jobs here. Joe in Newark, he called about his Iranian experiences when he was younger. Uber Mike, surprise, surprise, called in about some weed. And Scott in Milford, who is probably at home by now, relaxing with a beverage of his choice underneath a large poster of Tulsi Gabbard. Thank you, Scott, for calling in.
He's lucky.
John, he called in and talked about genealogy, adoption, and 23andMe. I appreciate that. I had asked about that. I'm glad some people called in about it. Greg in Middletown, he called about the TV show Monk and how the bad guy in Silence of the Lambs was the good guy and the straight man in Monk. That was a good call. Dave the electrician is worried about World War III. I'm mildly worried myself. Dave, thank you. Thanks for making it even worse. Mike called about the Mummers Parade. Steve in Westchester called about, I think that was the
DNA.
Yeah, the DNA's thing, too. So I really appreciate that.
Actual... well, not that the other fellow didn't have an actual experience, but he that was highly
great.
Recommends it. So.
All right, so based upon that, maybe next time I see you, I will have followed through with my own, and maybe I'll have some information for you.
All right, well, fantastic then. And Dave the electrician thinks I'm crazy for watching the Sandy Hook thing and giving it.
I'm here to make sure that Randy doesn't get too crazy. That's the only reason I'm here, folks.
I'm not saying that it's true. I'm saying it's interesting, the thing that I watched. And it sounds like he would just yell at it while it came on.
I don't know. I don't know Dave at all, but I can hear him maybe quietly mutter at it. I'm not watching this anymore.
Turn this off before it's on.
But I appreciate him calling in, and that's great. I agree with you. I agree with you, Dave.
Well, thank you to everyone for listening, calling, and all that stuff. Thanks to Chris Carl for letting us fill in here. And everyone, have a wonderful day. Stay tuned for the afternoon news with Chris Carl.
WDEL Wilmington, WDEL FM Canton, WSTW HD2 Wilmington.
WDEL, Delaware's News Radio.